ask him. It's the John. What brings you to Dubai? Is Jensen hiding somewhere?
No, it's one of our friends, Alex Buncombe, is in a Nissan car, and I picked up on Facebook saying he's at Heathrow waiting to go to Dubai, so I thought, well, something's got to be on, and then I found out this was on, so being a petrol head, brilliant. Now, met so many people from the past, it's staggering.
And you're wearing your lucky shirt, I hear.
No.
You saved that before we went. Thanks, John. Let's see if we can just grab a quick word with Darren Turner. Darren, again, another chance to talk to you in another grid, and a fantastically varied grid. And as a professional racing driver, this year you can go as fast as you like, and that's one of the big changes.
Yeah, obviously it's different from anything I've experienced before this race when they had the different sort of regulation. But now, you know, first time here, they're letting us all run free. You know, it's an easier way to go racing, isn't it? You just have to go flat out and try and beat everyone on the track, where beforehand it was more of a strategy race. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. And, you know, the wind is picked up today. It's a bit more gusty, a bit more sand on the track, so we just need to be careful with that.
6 different chassis in the first 7 cars. What does that tell you?
Very close. It says something about GT3 that, you know, there's it's called A6 here, but it means that, you know, they've got the balance between all the manufacturers pretty close, and you know, every car has a strength and a weakness, but overall in the lap time they all seem to come together pretty close.
Darren, thank you very much. Now, that's a good point Darren makes. Is A6 is what the top class here, but there's 2 elements to it. There's Pro and there's AM. Excuse me, sir. Thank you. The Pros, if you watched the event last year, of course, everyone was running to a reference time. You couldn't run a lap of more than 2 minutes and 5. But this year, the Pros are allowed to go as fast as they like. But the amateurs have to stick to 2:05. But we don't actually know what's the quickest way, and there are a couple of pretty good amateur teams. Now, just round here is another very attractive...
And, yeah, here we go.
Thank you, Dirk. So, Faisal, the Z4, that's the weapon of choice in GT racing for BMW, so you've got a couple of them. When are you going to come and run them in Europe?
Well, we hope so. We're looking for people to support us and continue the road with us to win, hopefully, a Le Mans Series or the WEC. So this is our next goal, and we're planning for it. So.
Fantastic. Thank you, Faisal. Now, I can see a man I really need to talk to just over here, and that's the man who makes this all possible. And it's Gary Williams going from Creventic. Jerry, is this your proudest part of the whole weekend when you see the 81 cars about to start?
You got it completely right. This is so amazing. This is what I'm enjoying. I'm working here for a year with all my team. Really, this is fantastic. This is I get things. It's fantastic. Really thanks for all coming here. It's great.
It's amazing. We were here last year and there was only one minor complaint, and that was from a few professional drivers. They wanted to go faster, and you've gone fine. Go as fast as you like, but you put a few little clever handicaps in, and some of them have decided to be amateurs. Are you surprised about that?
Yeah, that's correct. Last year we had that, and now we adapted to a more thing that the pro can really go there. The amateurs has some advantage, so still together. But really, to be honest, the nicest thing from this is this year we will ever have first amateur winning of 24-hour race Dubai. So there will be a proud team. So I'm happy with this amendments.
Jay, thanks very much. I'm sure we'll talk to you during the race and certainly at the end. So as you move down, as you see, you have a second BMW there, and then we have another exciting new marque, which is a McLaren, which I have to say does look very lovely, but the driver is booted and suited, as they are now beginning to clear. And then we can have a Ferrari. So those of you keeping count, that's your six marques in the top 7. That's one of the French Ferrari. Wandering down, we now have one of the first AF Corsa cars. Now there are 2 AF Corsa cars, one running in the amateur class, one running in the pro class, rather mimicking what they do in the WEC. Just to your left there, between another rare thing, which is a white and a blue Ferrari. This is the Ram racing car. We have a plethora of... Oh, Ruben's trying to make us go. She doesn't know who we are. Plethora of, let's see, Andreas Simonsen, very, very quick word as he just does up his helmet. Andreas, the number 2 car of the Black Fog has had a very quiet weekend compared to number 1.
Not so much because of the little small crash in the beginning from the other car. But no, it's been a lot of work. The mechanics have done a good job. So,
Andreas, thank you very much. And it's a young woman who seems to think we should leave the grid, and I don't think we should. I think we should carry on going. This is what I do. I don't in any way want to leave the grid, and in fact what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quick kneel-in with the man who may well be in, despite not being in pole position, Rob Bath. This could be the smart seat. You're the favourite of the amateurs. Do you think it's going to work as a tactic?
We're kind of where we need to be. It's a very, very long race, and we've found that with the number of cars on the grid, you struggle to go much quicker than a 2:03. So we're going to aim to rattle around at 2:05s and see where we end up. Going round at that kind of pace, we're not using much fuel and we're very kind on the car. So, yeah, we'll see.
Now, last year, of course, the start of the race was quite calm because people were sitting to a time limit. I expect it's going to be crazy up front, so you'll be able to keep out of all that.
Yeah, I've got to stay out of the gaggle of cars at the front and just try, if I can, to maybe stretch a little away from the Pro-Am cars behind. But I'll have one eye on the clock looking at my reference lap time, that's for sure. But, yeah, just looking forward to getting going.
Well, best of luck, and they are looking to get going. So, meandering down. Let's see if we can, as we go past, there really is an absolute gorgeous number of GT3 machines. And there's just going to point across there, Jürgen. That's a little special car, the blue and white car there. That's the Audi TT that we've been. No, that's the Audi VR8. There's the Audi TT we've been looking at, the blue and white one there, Jürgen. Just moved there, and that car is the 89. That's a really interesting machine in one of the different classes. We've just moved out of the top class now temporarily. That's the A3T class, but that thing has been very, very, very quick when it needs to be, but it does have to run to that dreaded reference time. But expect to see that one with a clear run, very high up on the leaderboard towards the end of the event. Now, moving on down, we go past a car that reminds me of the Cessna 6 Hour, a lovely old BMW. So if you ever want to come and do a bit of fun with a bit of semi-amateur racing, 360 Auto Club, and we get to the story, really the recurring story of Dubai, which is the SP3 pole sitter, but more importantly, it's the Nissan team and the PlayStation Academy. Now, I think we have the drivers have wandered off, but luckily, young Darren is with us. Darren, I'm sure you don't want to talk to us at all, but how proud are you to see your cars in first and second in class with those gamers on board?
Well, 4 years ago, we were here with this chap that sat behind us, Lucas Ordonez, for the first time of doing this, and who would have thought 4 years later he sat here on pole, and he's the old boy, and we got 4 new guys that have come through the programme, and it's been a fantastic success, and just hope that Lucas and his old teammate Alex Buncombe behind him remember that they used to be teammates, not in separate cars. Yeah, we've already had that from Bob. No, you can't race. Now, of course, you've moved on from being the mastermind of this to a new role in Nissan Worldwide. Are we going to see more innovative motorsport from Nissan? Well, we're expanding GT Academy. Just the last couple of days we've had the Middle East version here, which is fantastic. So we've now got 8 winners going through to Silverstone for the Middle East version. We're doing the same in South Africa, so they will be in Silverstone in March. So from South Africa and the Middle East to Silverstone in March, I think they might need to get some conditioning in terms of the weather, the opposite direction than our guys have done. And we'll look to expand it. You know, it's been a fantastic success, as you say. People said it was a marketing thing at the beginning. It's a driver finding and development program now, and we're very proud of that. And yeah, we're going to go and do some other crazy stuff as well. Excellent, thanks, Dan. I'm going to find a drive-by leading in. Grab me a quick word in the cockpit with Lucas. Lucas, give us your thoughts leading the class, but obviously amongst many other races. What are you going to try and do for those first couple of crazy laps? Well, first of all is just to be, calm and relax and not trying to push hard. It's a 24-hour race, so nothing. You cannot win anything in the first corner. So we have to be relaxed. We have a good car for this race. Nissan really fits for this track. So just looking forward for the start and nice and steady. You came here in 2009 as a man who just played some games. And you've got since then, you stood on the podium Le Mans. I mean, how different are you as a driver than you were when you came here 4 years ago? Well, first time here in 2009, I was an amateur driver. Now I'm a professional driver, racing in Le Mans with the Nissan Delta Wing project in Atlanta. So nice level now for me, and now I feel more confident and ready for action. I think the key thing it shows that you are now the team leader, which is fantastic. Now, I'm not sure what the board was a minute ago. I think it might be in the 2-minute board. I'm not sure we're actually being shuffled off the track. We'll carry on going. Jürgen's fine. He doesn't mind. And so let's just see where we are. It looks like we are actually going to have to meander down just off. We're getting quite close to start period. Just have a quick shifty there if Jürgen can. Can you perhaps get the Racing Divas car? That's the 121, the 5 ladies in the BMW. And what we'll have to do, we'll leave you on that shot, but it's now time for the grid to be cleared. So let me leave you in the capable hands of John Heinhoff.
Thank you very much, Nick. Nick Dearman down there on the grid, hustling in his own special way, as ever. Really, the guys from Formula One could learn an awful lot from that fella. In the booth with me, Paul Truswell and Jim Roller. Gary Williams and the rest of Creventic, Jim, have an awful lot to be proud about when you look down from that helicopter shot to those 80-plus cars on the grid. And this is only our second year here, but certainly more people in the grandstands, more cars, more people at the side of the track, and still people coming in here. It's an event that is only, in motorsport terms, a baby. It's only in its 8th year.
And the grid moments ago was filled with fans getting an up-close look at the cars. All of these cars turned out very well, very professionally turned out. This is one of the best GT3 fields that you're going to see anywhere in the world, and we're going to have 24 hours of racing with these cars. We've got strategies. We've got 2 different kinds of strategies. We've got the pros and the amateurs in the same class, all trying to use different methodologies to get to the checkered flag first. This is what endurance racing is all about. This event is the spirit of endurance racing as it was meant to be.
And possibly the greatest tactical challenge for the guys on the pit wall of any endurance race in the world, because of those vagaries of the amount of time a driver is allowed to stay behind the wheel, that being only 2 hours, which is not 2 tanks of fuel, and certainly not the life of the controlled Dunlop tyres here, of the reference time in all bar the very top pro class, the GT pro class, effectively the A6 class is what it's called here. The way that we can interact with our audience worldwide from the website www.24hdubai.com. All of the information that we have at our fingertips here at the circuit is also available to those of you listening or watching further afield. Paul Truswell is our man on the stats for the next 24 hours, and we've crunched the numbers, we've looked at the different tactical options, and I'm not sure we're any closer to working out what would be the best way to do it if you or I or any of us were running our own team, Paul.
No, I don't think so. I have to say I'm leaning more and more towards the run as a pro team. But in a sense, you know, that's what it should be. Even if you tilt the balance towards the amateurs, which is what the organisers have done, the balance is only tilted towards the amateurs. The pro teams still have the best chance. The problem that the pro teams have is if for any reason they drop the ball, then they're going to have an amateur snapping away at their heels. They're not going to be 2, 3, 4 laps up the road. There's going to be very, very likely an amateur, you know, maybe on the same lap or only a lap behind. So if one of the pro teams has a problem during the race, then that will, of course, beat against them, which is the whole point of what the Creventic team is trying to do with these races. May the best team win. Even if you've paid extra money, got pro drivers in, if by going flat out they bounce against a curb, get a puncture, bounce against another car, or worse, then you know, they're going to have to spend time in the pits, and they're not going to be that far ahead. They don't have that much of an advantage that they're going to be able to get it back against a well-driven gentleman driver or a team of semi-professionals and gentleman drivers. It's a very cleverly balanced field.
On board the Nissan number 127, Paul Sitter in SP3 with the Spanish inaugural winner of GT Academy, Lucas Ordóñez, behind the wheel. Had a long chat with all of the Nissan drivers at lunchtime. They have a huge amount of guests here. This has become a corporate event. That is the number 15 Aston Martin, the green wing there of that multicoloured Aston Martin sitting on the sitting on the outside of on the inside of the second row. The Craft Racing AMR car looking back from the middle of the grid. That's a brave cameraman. The standing right in the middle of the grid. That's very Le Mans, very Steve McQueen. And there's a bit of me at this time before we roll off that just gets a little tingle, and the only other place that I get that is in June at Les Sarthe, and before the start of the greatest motor race in the world. So a real compliment to the 24 Hours of Dubai. So the classic 2x2 formation about to roll off around 2 warm-up laps here. Some of It's great to see so many youngsters here. I really do think that's fabulous. The 32nd board is up at the head of the field with the Audi TT, which will be the pace car. We don't have safety cars here, so I can call that a pace car as much as I want. It may well become an intervention vehicle at some stage, but it will not become a safety car, and we'll tell you all about Code 60 and how that works later on. Gary Willems on the left there, the man who has done so much to promote this event, his concept and Creventic's concept, and he is taking it all in at the moment, getting the shot of the green flag. Yeah, and you feel that about the guys and girls at Creventic.
Tell you, John, standing here, you get goosebumps just listening to the rumble of 81 of these GT cars of all various shapes and sizes, displacements, and it's the beginning of the motorsport season. It's the beginning of the endurance racing season. It's the beginning of the sports car season. It's all happening. 2 pace laps, and they'll be underway for 24 hours of action.
And it's a very, very quick run down to the first corner, a long run down the first corner. Even if you come at a relatively short pace, you still pick up speed before the first corner. And we saw Peter Cox, didn't we, last year, diving out to the pit wall in the Lamborghini and storming down the inside, last of the late breakers. Who's going to take that chance early on? Nick Damon telling us from the pit lane he believes that we have got all of the cars out of the pit lane, nobody sitting there at the moment. As Lucas Ordóñez warms his tyres. No weaving on the second pace lap. That's in the supplementary regulations. And
I found it interesting that they let the cars sit there for a while. It's chilly enough here that they were... I just can't wrap my head around this.
So we are less than 7 kilometres away from the start of the 8th running of this already classic event. It kicks off the motorsport year in such style here in the United Arab Emirates, here at the Dubai Autodrome. The Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai. The pulsers will be raised a little bit. Claudia Hurtgen behind the wheel of the Saudi Falcons Z4, taking the start here. They'll be asked to form up into the 2x2, the Noah's Ark formation, if you will. Great to see the variety of machines at the front of the field. It is 2 warm-up laps here, and you can just see that as the #1 Mercedes spins its back wheels, there's still heat to be got in the tyres. I would have thought that the 7,000 tyres that Dunlop have brought here, and they have brought some rain tyres because there is a small chance of a little dampness from the air as they come through to complete the first of the 2 warm-up laps. But look at the dust that's been kicked up from the Audi TT. And I would have thought that Dunlop would have been expecting slightly higher ambient temperatures for the start of this race, Jim. And that just may make life a little interesting, getting heat into those tyres in the early part of this race.
When a tire manufacturer is the sole supplier, they have to do a balancing act between performance, reliability, and especially in a 24-hour event like this, a tire that is consistent
for a variety, a huge variety of
cars. So this has been an ultimate challenge and a great proving ground for Dunlop to really show off the ability of their tires. And if they are a little bit hard, it's just going to make things that much dicier.
Well,
at the start, if you haven't got the heat in them on these warm-up laps.
I did think that it was very interesting what Rob Barth said. I need to keep out of the nonsense ahead and just gap a little bit to the guys behind who are on a 207 strategy.
I sense Rob learned a lot about this event last year.
I think you're right.
If you'll recall, he was the one, I believe, that threw down the 159 after he had some problems and that sort of stuff. I think that he has matured a lot from last year's events and has learned a lot about winning this event. And I applaud the team for trying to go in a different direction from what everyone else is doing.
Well, welcome to a massive worldwide TV audience that has grown as well since last year. We're live on the web at the event website, www.24hdubai.com, radiolemans.com, of course.
Five different countries this year?
At least.
Yeah,
I think it's even more than that. And it's certainly capturing the imagination, and why wouldn't it? In the early part of January, just a relatively short hop in terms of a flight, 6 hours or so from most of Europe. And just talking to one or two of the Nissan guests at lunchtime, they were saying that, you know, quite a lot of them, obviously, particularly journalists, you get a lot of invites to various different things, and you can't always do them all through time pressures and having a life at home and a personal life. However, a 6 hour hop and some nice warm weather in January, it makes it a no-brainer. And in terms of hospitality and getting people to come to the event, it actually makes perfect sense to me, Jim, to be honest. Now, Paul Trustwell is studying very hard. When do you think we're going to see the first pit stop? That will be the thing. Will we see people do half a stint early on?
I don't really know, because the problem is, of course, they've only got the 8 fuel pumps to choose from, 6 petrol and 2 diesel fuel pumps to choose from. I'm expecting the leading runners to do 37, 38 laps. That's the kind of initial prognosis, if you will. The problem is that they've got 120-litre fuel tanks, and for the leading runners, the amount of fuel that they're allowed to take on board varies, but for the leading ones, it can be as little as 95 litres. So they can't fill up the tank, which means that they've got that kind of cushion where they've used 95 litres, they've still got 35 litres left, or 25 litres left, but they can still run with that 25 litres. And you're talking about 2.5 litres per lap, I'm reckoning. Okay. So I would say about an hour we'll get the first pit stops as far as the leading runners is concerned.
And we should say, for people who are watching, listening, or here at the track for the first time, the refuelling is done outside of what we would term the normal pit lane. So if you're seeing people wandering around in what look like street clothes and not flame retardant clothes, which you think is a bit odd for a pit lane, that's because there is no refuelling in the pit lane. So there's no compromise there on the safety. There is a dedicated fuel station that is at the end of the pit lane. Well, the race director has called the leading cars into the 2x2 formation, and it is last year's defending champions are on pole position as they head into the last third of the lap. And if I look up and across the circuit, I can see them coming into turn 14, which is this magnificent uphill hairpin. Just 2 corners from here to the end of the lap. The white Audi TT will pull off the circuit.
80 of them all together, John.
And we have got the 80, as Paul has just said there. It's Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, Aston Martin and BMW on the front 2 rows. Oh, the pole sitter almost going past the pace car as it went into the pit lane there, and you're not allowed to pass there. That was very dicey indeed by the Black Falcon #1 car. Everyone holding station. McLaren right in there as well on the 3rd row of the grid. Watch for the red lights to go out, and we're racing for the 24 hours, and the first major motor race of the year is underway. And already the pole sitter cutting across to the right-hand side, and he's been out-dragged into the first corner by the Porsche. Fantastic run down there. The rest of the field streaming through. And I didn't think it was such a bad start from the pole sitter, but he was on the dirty side of the track, and that allowed the Porsche of Nicky Team to go through. Jérôme Blegemolen couldn't defend there on the inside. It's a fast downhill run to the first corner, now into the complex of 6 and 7. This tightening hairpin, and the Saudi Falcons has gone up into 2nd place. So the pole sitter, Jérôme Blegemolen, in that car that was rebuilt over the last 72 hours, has dropped from pole to 3rd, and we're not halfway around the first lap yet, Jim.
I'm wondering if Blegemolen is having trouble with his traction in his tires, because not only did Team beat him off the line, Team got a better start. Team was held back just a little bit and got got a better run down into turn 1. But then going through turn 1, Bleekemolen seemed to lose momentum and swing a little bit wide, and that allowed the door to open for the Saudi Falcon. I'm wondering if he's having traction issues.
Claudia Hutkin then through into second position. Darren Turner is right there as well in the Aston Martin, and Phil Quaife, Dominic Schwager, Jean-Bernard Bouvet, they all started their respective cars as they're coming back towards us here on the start-finish line for the first time, just coming round about halfway around the lap now. It is a sinuous run, and there are quite big rises and falls on the circuit as the leader has pulled out, and again there's a challenge for third position. I'm guessing debris on the tyres. I'm guessing that the Dunlop tyres of the pole sitter of Jerome Bleekemolen picked up a bit of dirt or perhaps some rubber, and as they come round for the first time, it will be Nicky Team that leads the Divide 24 Hours for Belgium.
Yeah, don't forget, John, that Bleekemolen in the Mercedes didn't do the morning warm-up session, and they have done work on that car overnight, so there may actually be some. I'm not saying that Jim's wrong in saying there's traction issues, but there may be something a little bit deeper, a little bit more fundamental wrong with that car, where they've made some setup on the car and it's just not quite right.
And they were also very late to the grid. Yeah. They took 2 sighting laps. They got the car out with only a couple minutes to go, and he made 1 sighting lap, came in, did another one before he went to the grid.
They did say after qualifying that despite all of the work they'd done, changing the suspension, the engine, the gearbox, they still had things like drive shafts and bearings to do. As we're on board with, that's Lucas Ordóñez in behind one of the GC Automotive silhouette cars there as he fights his way through the field. Currently the SP, in fact that's Alex Bungham I think who's gone through in the 147 to lead SP3, and the Ginetta number 150, that's the Italian crewed car, has had a rotation, and that car was started by Luis Scarpaccio, and so he has had a little whoopsie early on, but I think that will be that's a really good start by the Porsche and by Claudia Hutkin. Nicky Team and Claudia Hutkin from in third place, the pole sitters Jerome Bleekemolen, Dominic Schwager in the number 12, the second of the Saudi Falcons by Sherbeth, the second BMW Z4 now in fourth position. Darren Turner in the Aston Martin has dropped to fifth. Phil Quaife in the first of the McLarens MP12 4C GT3s, the Natalie titled cars, is down into sixth position. Coming up into seventh, the number 19 J-Lock Lamborghini. It's been a very good start by Manabu Oredo, the all-Japanese crew from the Japanese Lamborghini Owners Club, as we complete another 5.3 kilometres. And it looks as though Bleekemolen has just about held off Dominic Schwager. Yes, he has, as he goes through turn number 1 there.
Rob Bath's first lap, John, was a 2 minutes 4.364. Remember, Rob Bath has 10 jokers. He's got 10 times that he's allowed to go underneath 2 minutes 5. He's used up 1, and he's got 23 hours and 56 minutes remaining.
Fastest lap just been completed by Claudia Hutkin in second position as she closes to within a second of the leader, Nicky Team. Meantime, down into the first corner, Alex Bungham in the Nissan, who was looking cool as a cucumber at lunchtime, doing the PR work. And there is that Italian Ginetta just on the exit of turn number 1 as they head to turn 2, driver's right. So that initial spin by Scarpaccio has turned into a bigger problem. Now, normally you'd say the safety car would be standing by here, but we don't have safety cars. We have code 60 instead. And that means that the race director will now be talking to all the marshals posts. They'll be deciding whether that car needs to be removed from a place of danger. If he decides it is, he will give a countdown, and purple flags with a white cross and a white number 60 will be displayed at exactly the same time from all of the marshals posts, and everyone will have to slow down to 60 kilometres. So the touring car field coming through, lots of battles. We'll talk you through the classes as the race begins to develop. Suffices to say that the top 10 cars are all A6 Pro categories, and here come the leaders. They'll be into lapped traffic coming up on the next lap around. They're already going to be into lap traffic, and from then on it's going to be traffic all the way through the rest of the 24 hours here at Dubai. It's fast and furious here with still just 6.5 minutes down. And what I'm surprised at, Paul, is the amount of the A6 AM runners who have already broken out of their bracket and gone below the 2 minutes and 5 second marker on just the opening laps of this race.
Well, Rob Barth's done it again, hasn't he, in the number 88. He's the car who leads the class as far as AM is concerned. But he's on his 4th lap now, but he's already broken, or he's used up 2 of his jokers. Now, I don't know, it's a difficult one. You've got to be so careful, but somebody like Rob, I would have thought, should be capable. What's happened, I guess, is that their onboard lap tracker, which they do have, is somehow broken or is been faultily calibrated, because otherwise I don't think Rob would be, Rob would have gone that much under twice.
Because both of them have been just narrowly. I mean, he's
already into lap traffic.
Yep.
We are on lap number 4 at the moment, and from now on, Jim, no matter where you are in the field, but that's the leader going through the back of the field. That's the little Lotus 160 already being put to the sword. Claudia Hurtgen, by the way, closing in on the leader at the moment, and that's it now. That's it. You've had your clear track.
That's it. That's it for the next 23 hours and 52 minutes. Rob Barth told us, I think, at the press conference that you'll get 2 cars in every corner and 6 to 8 cars that you have to pass on the straightaways. So the traffic density here, each car has got about 215 feet of racetrack to itself. That is a packed racetrack.
In terms of density, way more than 56 cars at Le Mans.
Well, yeah, at Le Mans, the track density is about 115 feet per track, per car. We've got, I think that's the Ginetta coming back on the hook.
Yeah, one of the things you need to get used to if you particularly follow ACO-style endurance racing, outside assistant not only is okay here, it's positively encouraged to get the car back to the pit lane. And that number 150 Ginetta has been removed without the need to affect the race. And what will have happened is the Ford safety truck will have gone out there, attached the tow rope and towed it through parts of the track that aren't being used, and is now in pit lane, in fact, that 150. So whatever problems befell that car, it's come back in a bit of a clip as well, to be fair. Yes. Through goes Alex Bunton, and Alex leading SP3 there in that black Nissan 370.
Just to finish your thought, the 150 car now, they can work on it. Short of a blown engine, they can get the car back into the race.
Yes, sorry, there is visual confirmation of that car being back in the pit lane now. Other forms of motor racing, that would be their day, literally their day, their race, done. But as I say, not only is outside assistance allowed, it is positively encouraged. Think Brit car, think VLN, think the Nürburgring 24 hours. Get the car back to the pits, get the teams working on it, and get the car back out there. Everybody gets a chance to finish. A quick glimpse there, and now the onboard from the Racing Davids.nl car. They have stepped up from a Clio Cup car last year to that BMW. Big step up in performance for the lady racers, but they've done a pretty good job, and they are firmly setting their sights on a podium in the higher class that they've moved into. And the 1-2-1 car at the moment is sitting in, oops, we've just lost our timing screen for a moment. It's Paul Asfart who has started the car in 2nd place in A3T, in 50th position, and their leading car, well, there's some 10 seconds behind the leading car in class, but that's not bad when you consider that that car, which is the Seat Leon Super Cobra, is being driven by Mark Basseng, who started the race. Now, he's got a bit of experience.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you heard his name at the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring, and as John said, there's going to be traffic. But the Lady Divas aren't just a great motorsport story, they're a great human story too, because at this event, they are trying to raise awareness for ALS, which in the United States is known as Lou Gehrig's disease. It is a nerve disorder which is totally debilitating, and it is basically a death sentence. If you get ALS, if you contract ALS, your lifespan is shortened to about 5 years from when it's diagnosed. So it is something that is insidious, and they are trying to raise awareness and raise money to hopefully find a cure.
What number is the orange Merc, says Lachlan Hines. I can't find it on the spotter guide. That car's picked 3 different colours this weekend. It started off as orange and white, then it went to all silver, and now it's orange and silver.
And black.
It's number 1. And it's the defending champion car. There is a new version of Andy Blackmore's spotter guide on the website, spotterguides.com.
And you have to say, having raised a couple of questions about that car, the number 1 car, on the opening lap or two, nothing wrong with it. Whether that's something that Hirona's dialed into the car by virtue of controls on the car, or it was, as Jim was suggesting, as it was happening, but just wasn't getting enough traction, tyres not warmed up sufficiently. Maybe the setup is to use the tyres very lightly, and as a result of using the tyres lightly, they're just not putting or they're harder to get the temperature into. Don't know, but he's quite happy there in 3rd place, just 4 seconds off the, we'll call it a battle for the lead. There's a 2.5 between the first two, the Porsche and the BMWs. We've got Porsche, BMW, Mercedes, Aston Martin in the first 4 places.
And the Ginetta is still receiving attention in the pit lane. And Nick Damon is down there. Nick, they're looking in the engine compartment there.
Department, though I think it has to be said that what's really going on is electrical issues. And am I the only person who sees the irony in a bunch of Italians trying to find an electrical fault with a British car?
Well, it has an American engine. It's American.
But yeah, I mean, they've had it fired 2 or 3 times, but it won't actually catch and run. There was also a problem with the driver's seatbelt. I think it's Louis Magnoli in the car at the moment, but they had a problem with him. They reseated him about 3 or 4 times. So a succession of minor problems, but at least, as you said, even though it happened on lap 2, once they get going again, they'll be back in the race.
Louis Scarpaccio on the transponder at the wheel of that car at the moment. Ballast resistor. If it starts but doesn't run, it's the ballast resistor on the electronic ignition. Sorry, take that. Okay. It's happened to me before. That's the only reason I know that.
Yeah, you're a ballast resistor.
I have plenty of ballast, yes, that's quite correct. So Nicky Team by 1.5 seconds in that Porsche. Life in the old 997 yet. We're expecting to see the new 991, of course, in the lead. In the mix as far as endurance racing is concerned in 2013, with Manthey Racing doing the development work for Porsche Factory. Talking to Sabina Smith at lunchtime. They're expecting to get their car, the new GT3R, on the 991 chassis, perhaps as soon as March.
Really?
Well, that's when their first race is, so she says we have to have it by then, or we'll be running the old car.
Okay. And we'll see that car at the Nürburgring?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, wow.
Yes.
Great.
Manthey,
all the more reason to go.
Yes, a lot of these names will be familiar to you if you watch or listen to our coverage of the other endurance races, whether the Brit car or the Nürburgring 24, the VLN. Coming through the field there, that's the quick look at one of the smaller engine cars in the race, the 2-litre Citroen C2, father and son among the driver lineup there, and there is massive family action here in terms of in the same cars, some of them competing against each other. We have one, the Pressy Spark Mercedes-Benz is crewed in driver strength at least. Every single one of the drivers are related, and they all have Jones on their racing seats. So that's an easy one for us. When we see the Pressy Spark car, it's Jones at the wheel.
I wonder if they're Jones in the Go Racing.
Hey, David Jones started that car. He's down in 25th at the moment, just dropping back.
Car number 25 in 21st place. He's just dropped a place on that last lap by Enzo Potolicchio, who's at the wheel of the also AM-classed Audi R8 LMS.
Battle for the lead here, Paul, as they come out of the infield hairpin turn 14 through the kink at 15 over the top of the brow. You can just see that there. Braking just on the 100-metre mark, maybe a little bit further down and turning. You can't turn in early there, otherwise you can't get on the throttle early enough. And it looks like Claudia Herkin's got a fantastic run in the BMW as they cross the line to complete the 8th lap, to complete the 7th lap rather, going to lap number 8. Herkin down the inside, but it's very, very dirty there. Is not able to get alongside. The BMW does not have the power to pull alongside the venerable 911. Flashing of the lights from Claudia. You're only allowed to flash the lights 3 times. That's in the regulations as well.
Trust me, Claudia, he knows you're there.
You think? Now, just remind ourselves that on the top of the screen there is 23 3/4 hours to go. This is not 23 3/4 minutes to go. And look at the deflection. You think these guys aren't trying hard? Look at the deflection on the Dunlop rubber on the back of that Nicky Team Porsche.
And these tires might not be as hard as we think they are.
The Attemptor Racing German team, Ivo Bukas, Kevin Estre. Kevin, lots of experience in Porsches. Been racing in the Super Cup, was Rookie of the Year in Super Cup 2 years ago. Angel Benitez in there as well, along with Henry Hasid. So a mixture of nationalities in that German-run car. And quite clearly, the Porsche still has...
Benitez has raced in the States, hasn't he, in the IMSA GT3 Cup? Yeah, okay, so he's got lots of Porsche experience as well.
And traffic seldom plays into the hand of the leader, but Nicky Team is dealing with this very well indeed. Claudia Herkin has oodles of experience and now closes right up and perhaps leaves the braking slightly too late, but there's enough width on that infield hairpin to gather the BMW back up again and coax it back to the second apex of turn number 14 as they come down to the end of lap number 8.
And because of the traffic, she dives down under the inside.
Oh, look up! Oh, that is fantastic. Caught Nicky Team slightly unawares there. Nicky going through past the Aston Martin. And look at the Porsche though, Jim, that Porsche has got the ponies.
That's some horsepower as it goes down the front straightaway and will retake the lead. What I was about to say was that that 145 car had held Team up enough so that Claudia could rebound from her mistake and make a run going into that final corner. And that's exactly what happened. When the 26 car was slowed by the 145, that gave her the opening that she needed. But then it was Porsche horsepower that put him back into the lead.
Well, that is very, very interesting indeed. Last laps for those two cars in thick traffic, 205 flat and 205.4 for Nicky Team, who had lost the lead across the line. So keeping those lap times below the 205 has already become an issue. And if we look down to Rob Barth, 205.6 last time around in 15th position in the 88 Ferrari, and that's fine, because he shouldn't really be below 205. He will get penalties if he does that more than 10 times in the 24 hours. So now that we're into traffic, it's all change. Down to the back hairpin, that is where the Lamborghini went off the other day. And it looks like Claudia's got up the inside. Uses perhaps a little more grip on the BMW there to get down the inside of Nicky Team, who again, was he struggling for grip or was he just not looking? He's dropped away from the back. I wonder if he's got a slow puncture, you know. Has he got a problem? Because he's dropped away very quickly from the back of that BMW. So, with still 23.5 hours and plus to go, Claudia Herkin becomes the 3rd leader of this race. First led by Paul Sittler, Jerome Blake-Lemoyle, and then Nicky Team. And now the 24 BMW leads the 24 hours, the Dunlop 24 hours of Dubai, and the first major endurance event of the season. Definitely a problem for Team. No doubt in my mind now that Nicky Team is struggling with rear tyres, and he's either got a slow puncture or something's gone away on the back of that car.
Even on the pace lap when he was swerving and they showed us a brief onboard look, I thought the deflection of the tire seemed a bit overstated, and I agree with you. That car is all over the place now at this point. He's losing control of the rear end of the car, and in fact the number 1 car, which Jerome Bleekemolen, is now closing on him. He's only 1.1 seconds behind, so he's falling back into the clutches of 3rd place. On board now,
the 41 Porsche.
41 Porsche, thank you.
41 Porsche.
We haven't seen this on board yet. This is
no, sorry. I'm just hearing some news from the pits that it was the 41 Porsche has gone straight into the pit lane. This is the interestingly named Mr. John of B behind the wheel. This is the Sebastian Crublier at 997 Cup car that he shares with Soyela Yari, Francois Glenmar, and Mr. John of B, a French crewed car, French engined car, and that car has gone straight into the pit box, so early problems for them. I am really interested to see Nicky Team's car, as we were on board there with the GC.
It's the GC.
It's a Megane, sorry, it's a Megane Cup car, excuse me, trophy car. And that car goes across the line. Paul?
Yes, I mean, Nicky Team's times haven't really dropped off at all. I mean, he's still holding on to 2nd place. He's still got a second of an advantage over Jerome Bleekemolen with the Mercedes in 3rd place. I don't know. I think if it would be a puncture, it would have manifested itself more severely in his lap times. It may well just be that he's decided that in order to get through the traffic efficiently, he's going to just let Claudio Hürtgen go a little bit, and then he can just recover and go a bit more easily. Meanwhile, out of the pits has come the Ginetta, Jim.
Yeah, the 150 Ginetta has come back out of the pits. It's the Equipe Vescher car that we're on. So that is the Renault Megane trophy car, the Equipe Vescher machine. BMW had a problem during qualifying yesterday, did an engine, dropped a bit of oil, and I'm afraid that was the oil that rather did for the Rhino's Lamborghini at the end of the back straight. Very nearly did for Tim Mullen in the McLaren as well. Just having a quick look at this car, this is another perfect illustration of the eclectic mix of motorsport machinery. There's some Clio Cup cars which are very obviously based on road cars. Obviously they are built by Renault Sport up on the north coast of France. The Megane trophy cars are much more a silhouette-based car, and whilst they share a badge with the Clios, have a much different rationale from the front-wheel drive cousins. They're ahead of that Megane is the Citroën C2 2-litre, and as we go back on board with Alex Bungham, fighting with cars much above his weight, as one of the Porsches has just gone through him. Alex still leading the SP1 category by some 2.5 seconds. The 147 Nissan, it's the 350Z, the RGN GT Academy car. And in 2nd place is his teammate, Spaniard Lucas Ordóñez, the first winner of the GT Academy. He's 2.5 seconds further back down the road. Bob Neville, who runs that team, who is a very calm and collected sort of gentleman, has been a long time in motorsport, laid the law down quite considerably to these two guys, and it looks to me as though Lucas has closed up a little bit to tell them to stay well apart in the opening laps of the race. He's a softly spoken man, is Bob Neville, but I wouldn't like him to be disappointed in me.
I bet he wields a big stick.
I would not like him to be disappointed in me, and he would have been very, very disappointed indeed in Alex and Lucas if they'd been coming together. Shane Lewis, by the way, we should say, in the Lotus Evora, put in a stunning qualifying. Yeah,
star qualifying.
And he's in the 148 car in 3rd position, the Lotus Evora. It's Matt Black. You may just see it in the background. Across the line, Phil Quaife and Andreas Simonsen absolutely together last time around, 0.060. But there is the two, there are the two Nissans. And it won't be very far back down the road before we see that Matt Black Lotus Evora about now. There it was in the middle of turn 14.
Just flashing through the screen.
In the middle of turn 9, excuse me, on the back straight. And we're waiting to see. Wow, look at the speed differential as the number 11 Ferrari, I think that was the one of the AF Corsa cars actually, went up the inside of that Nissan 370, which is by no means a slouch into the corners. And here we have the kind of traffic. Now, oh, there's a touch. There was a touch there. That was the lead SP3 car and one of the Ferraris going through. So that was the 11th car. It was the Alex Bunker. I think it was the 11th Ferrari with Alexander Talagizzi Jr. at the wheel. And I think there was a touch there between the AF Corsa.
There certainly was a lockup.
Yeah.
Bunkum had to lock all 4 wheels up to try and avoid.
Yeah, Alex will not be pleased about that. There is Alex Bunkum on board the lead SP3 Nissan. By the way, it's like his head is on a stalk there, having to look around. He's lapping people, including that VDS. Looks a bit like a Ford Mustang, but with help from the team that was behind the Gilet Vertigo, or the Vertigo Gilet, as it was named both ways in its lifetime. The Belgian team back again into endurance motor racing, and here is the 6th place car of Dominic Schrager coming through. I think that was the 16 actually. I think that was the Renzo case in the other AF Corsa car that caused Alex the problem. And look again at the eyes of Alex Bunkum, who is glancing into the rear view mirror to his right hand side. He's desperately trying to keep his own teammate behind him. That's the onboard from Lucas Ordonez. Oh! The VDS cars. Interesting how they make their lap times in different ways, Jim.
Yes, you've got the VDS, which has got a little bit more pull down the straightaway, and the Nissan, who's more nimble in the corners, in the tighter corners, but everybody is sliding around out there. There isn't anyone that's able to get good traction, and that's because of the sand and everything that's on this racetrack as well. As the longer this race goes, there's going to start to build up some debris as well. It's going to be very dicey getting offline.
Phil Quiff there diving up the inside in his pursuit of Andreas Simonsen, who's just gone by him. So 7th position is Andreas Simonsen. Phil Quiff in the 17 McLaren down into 8th position, and the 2 Nissans now are together. Get your picture devices out. I was going to say that. Normally you would say cameras, wouldn't you?
Can't say that anymore.
As off goes the BMW number 115.
It's one of the D1 cars.
Yeah. Right in front of that battle, and this is the the amount of concentration that you need here as Spencer van der Paal went off in front of those 2 Nissans. It is unlike any other motor race. There is nowhere, and I mean nowhere on this track now, where you're going to get a breather. Sometimes 2, 3 and 4 wide heading down into corner number 1. And there is the leader, Claudia Hurtgen, who is at that part of the circuit now. Only half an hour of racing, and she now has to back off behind the number 29 SRT Viper, the Mana MP Motorsport, well, actually listed as a Dodge Viper competition coupe.
Yeah, I don't think that's one of the new models.
No, it's not.
That's an older one. Yep.
You're absolutely right. It's one of the old GT3 cars, older GT3 cars. And there we have the perfect illustration of getting through traffic. I have no doubt. Yeah, it was. I have no doubt that the video gamers actually look at this and think, what's everybody going on about? This is the kind of traffic we have no problem with. Perkins pulled out at 2.2 seconds. I'm impressed by that. And is lapping around about the low 4s. Low 4s to high 4s. It's been a splendid run by the experienced Claudia Hurtgen in the Saudi Falcons number 24.
I thought that was a very wise choice when she told Nick earlier in the morning warm-up that she'd be starting the race. I didn't say it at the time, but I thought then, wow, that's, you know, she's the perfect person to start this race. Very even keel, very calm. So we're looking out one of the onboards at the tail end of the Aston Martin, number 15, with Darren Turner behind the wheel. Currently in 4th position, just 7/10 of a second behind Jerome Bleekemolen the last time they came by us.
The 41 Porsche has rejoined us into the pit lane for what might be the first off-scheduled stop comes the number 61 BMW Z4M Coupe, the Paul Fuller-entered machine, and it comes in under its own steam and stops in front of us. I'll keep an eye on that as we're looking back from Lucas Ordonez's car for a moment. And now on the front straight, the Saudi Falklands BMW comes across the line to complete lap 15.
I don't think it was scheduled. Nobody was there waiting for him. They were all a bit surprised.
And Nicky Team, where's Nicky Team gone? The second place car has disappeared.
Turn 4.
It hasn't come around.
Or just Darren Turner caught him. Okay, Darren Turner
has gone through. Darren Turner has gone through and taken him just for a moment there. It disappeared from the timing screen. Is also coming in is one of the GC Automotive cars into the pit lane, the number 111. That's the GC Automobile GC10 V8. There is that car, the one that is styled after a VW Scirocco. So Darren Turner has caught past Nicky Team, and Nicky Team's fall from the lead continues, now in 4th position, and a 2:09.5 last time around by Nicky Team. That's not in the tactical playbook.
Well, I think that Turner did a 2:07 and was able to take the position. I bet he got balked in traffic.
Amazing to see the differences in times, and we've said this before about what traffic can do in endurance racing. Perhaps if you're not used to watching these longer races with more cars, it is worth pointing out that a difference in lap time of 2 or 3 seconds doesn't necessarily mean that there is an issue. There is the BMW that came into the pits a moment ago. That looks like that's had to have a unscheduled tyre stop. And that, you can see there, had 4 wheel nuts, not the centre lock wheels. If you're tweeting, it's at Specutainment or at Radio Le Mans, and use the hashtag 24H2Buy, which I'm reliably told by our social media network experts, the responsible adult, is trending. So hashtag 24H2Buy wherever you are in the world to get involved, and is trending.
Does it mean it's trending?
It's one of the top topics.
Lorenzo Casse has gotten by Nicky Team as well. So in another lap, he's dropped another position down to 5th. A 2:06.057 on that lap to Casse's 2:03.552.
Yeah, I'm certain now that something is awry on that number 26 Porsche, as we have a battle for position here between Jeroen Blecknermolen in 2nd and Darren Turner in 3rd. On board with Darren Turner, Aston Martin Works driver, as he is down the back straight, down towards the heavy braking area at turn number 10. It's a right-hander, and he's putting enough pressure on Blecknermolen that he feels the need to defend and stay right into the inside as he goes past him. Slower traffic drifts away perhaps slightly from the apex there, as now he climbs up the hill to turn number 11.
Blecknermolen also had to work around that slower car, so that forced him to the right a little bit more even.
Love this section of the circuit that they're in at the moment. Another tight right-hander, and then diving downhill through a little kink and up to turn 13. And watch how they catch the quicker cars. The quicker cars catch the slower cars through this area, because you are absolutely flat through that kink. He's got to get down the inside of the BMW. Great heads-up driving by the BMW 1 Series driver.
But they've caught Claudia Herken as well. Her lead is diminished.
Well, it was 2 seconds last time around.
That's right, and it's not 2 seconds anymore.
I'm wondering.
I don't think they've caught... There
is Claudia across the line.
Yep.
And it has come down to 8
tenths of a second.
That's what traffic does for you.
Turner having a look going into turn 1 as they take the right-hander, and then it's a left, and then a back right, a sweeping right-hand corner that will bring you around.
This is another fast kink, but not when you have an Audi TT-RS from a lower class behind you. The work carries on in the pit lane on the GC Automotive car, and we've got a car off on the far side of the circuit, and that's a fire extinguisher that's going off.
So here we are down in the GC.
The driver is out of that car on the far side of the circuit.
And 26 has fallen off of scoring, John. Paul's absolutely right. That could be the 26 car.
Right. We have intervention vehicles moving very, very quickly towards the middle of the circuit. Unfortunately, it's down in a dip that we can't see it. I can just see the top of a car there.
And now we have a pass for the lead. The number 1 car has gotten around Claudia Hurtgen.
Of course he did. Of course he did. So has Hurtgen got a problem as well?
No, I think that was a yellow flag misunderstanding. I think what happened was that Claudia just lifted because of yellow flag, and there was a slower car in front of them, and she just
Turner going for second.
Slower.
Turner going for the lead. Turner's got the lead, but there are yellow flags waving there. Darren, I think we'll have to give that back, and he does. He gets out the throttle straight away. That's really good driving by the Aston Martin Works pilot, because that was turn number 14. In fairness to Darren, the yellow flag is waving on driver's right there, and he was on driver's left.
Yeah, that's
heads up by the team, because I bet they were on the radio to him straight away saying drop back, drop back. So clearly an issue on the far side of the circuit there, and that 26 Porsche, the Intepto racing car.
And now Turner has his hands full of Lorenzo Casse.
And the
lead Casse tries to go underneath him. Went off the track on the left side of Turner.
I do think that, well, looking at the timing and scoring, the tops 4 now are within 2 seconds of each other, and the lead a few moments ago that Claudia Hurtgen had was 2 seconds. So the traffic and the issues on the circuit that we think was for Nicky Team in the Intepto racing car has pulled them all back together. And Darren Turner just re-establishing himself here. You know, one of the things that really makes the difference between winning and losing endurance races is not getting penalties, Jim.
Yes.
And quite clearly to me there, Darren Turner was playing the longer game, wasn't quite sure of what was happening ahead of him, and backed off out of it to make sure that there would be no doubt that he had given those positions back. And look at the traffic playing its part again, and you could quite clearly see that Jerome Blenkemolen back in the lead, wasn't sure what that car was going to do, so he didn't force the issue.
And that's keeping this 4-car train together.
Darren Turner nearly demolishes the pit-in board there, coming down to the final corner. And we have 4 cars battling for the lead. It is the number 1 Mercedes-Benz, the 24 Saudi Falklands BMW Z4, Darren Turner in the V12 Aston Martin Vantage, and Lorenzo Case in the 16, the first of the AF Corsa Ferraris. Then it's Andreas Simonsen, but he's back about 14 seconds from this battle in the second of the Mercedes-Benz, the number 2 car to the leader. And in fact, Phil Quaife has just gone by the number 12 of Dominic Schwager again. They're having a great to and fro. Quaife now up into 6th position in the first of the McLarens, the number 17 Lapidus racing car, as these leading quartet are now nose to tail through the first of the infield hairpins.
We are 45 minutes into this race, and the pace is not abated at all. Yes, they're going a little bit slower because of traffic, but they are right together. That traffic is keeping this battle very, very good. The Mercedes will have the opportunity to pull out a little bit, Paul, and then as soon as he comes into traffic, you can see the other 2 cars behind him close up right on his rear bumper. This is fantastic stuff.
And of course, it's all about how you actually approach the traffic. You're absolutely right, because by keeping your head up and diving through traffic, I mean, you know how it is sometimes when you're on a motorway, you sometimes sort of think, oh, he's going to get into trouble in the moment because he's in the wrong lane, I'm in the right lane.
That's right.
And there's that kind of mentality. It's much easier to overtake if you're the second or the third than if you're the first one coming through.
You've been watching my driving here, Paul, haven't you?
Well, having followed you for the last 3 days, actually, it's been very interesting.
My lines have been somewhat inconsistent.
Consistently, they've been inconsistent.
Well, I like to think of that, yes. Top four separated.
Discipline, too.
Top four separated by just on 1 second. But really, at the moment, the stopwatch is not what matters. The four of them are in the same camera shot at the moment.
The Ferrari's very happy down the back straightaway.
Yeah, very quick in a straight line.
Very quick in a straight line, but not so quick down the front straightaway. I don't think he gets off this final turn just as well as the other 3 cars are getting off the final turn.
Well, the wind is in their face now as they go down towards turn number 1, which should mean that they can brake later as Darren Turner takes a wider line into turn 1, but he's got to be careful because Case is right there in the number 16. Yeah, of course, a Ferrari leading 4 together through turn number 2. Darren Turner in 3rd position behind the beautiful livery of the Saudi flag stylized onto that BMW Z4 of Claudia Hurricane in 2nd, and the rebuilt pole sitting car of Jerome Blakemolen. Those cars are unbelievably quick, and there is the visual confirmation of what we had speculated and assumed. Nicky Team's car, there is white paint on the sidewalls of those Dunlop tyres, and trust me, when they came out of Fort Dunlop in Birmingham, they weren't like that. So he's been up against the white painted concrete here.
Oh, it's been on fire.
That car has been on fire.
That could be just dust from the extinguishers as well.
So that was fire extinguisher smoke, extinguish it. So number 1 and 24 are under investigation, so there may have been a touch then between Jerome Blakemolen.
Or it may have been passing under the yellow.
Yeah, yes, of course, passing under the yellow, says Paul.
No, Jim said that. I just agreed with him.
Yes, sorry. Nick Damon is down by the Porsche, and we'll check in with him as soon as we can to see what's happened to Nicky Team's car. But there was evidence of a conflagration at the back of that Porsche. Oh,
wow.
That car has certainly been on fire. Now, this is the onboard picture that we can see now as the car grinds to a halt. That camera is at the front. All of the action is at the back. The extinguishers have been fired off by Nicky Team. I knew I would do that at least once this weekend. He didn't leave it in gear either, did he? But look at all the muck and rubbish that's coming out of that car as he pulls the fire extinguisher. Nicky Team has exited stage left quickly
and had to get his own fire extinguisher.
Another fire extinguisher. Now there's the back of the car, and as you can see, that car has burned off a lot of the paintwork on the rear bumper and valance.
Maybe he had an oil line that was loose, and that's why the rear end was getting around. Hello.
Jim Roller go to the top of the class. The problem with Porsches is that the oil coolers tend to be under the front wings.
Right.
And when they go, you can actually end up running over your own oil.
And that's not a happy thing. You know, at home, my friends always ask me, God, 24 hours, how do you stay up for it? You know, how do you stay awake for 24 hours to watch these races? We're an hour into this thing, and it feels like it just started. With action like this, how can you not stay up?
Where has the last 50 minutes of my life gone?
Boom, and it's just absolutely fantastic. Now, back into traffic. The number 1 car has to come hard on the brakes as the Corvette was passing the BMW there. And that's the thing. You can't expect those folks in front to not have their own battles, as now Darren Turner takes a shot at the 24 car.
Coming into the final corner and gets into the middle hairpin rather, and heading down towards turn number 13, that fast left-hand kink. We'll just stay with this action for a moment as we may have a pass for 2nd position down into the braking area. Well, let's keep an eye on that, because the big drama away from the track has been Nicky Team from 1st to in the pit lane in the Attempto Racing Porsche. Nick Damon has got a very chastened driver with him down in pit lane, Nick.
Nicky Team, that was an amazing first 20 minutes. You stormed into the lead and then, well, went so fast you caught fire. What happened?
It's a bit too early. This is really disappointing for us that we are getting such a setback now. I felt after some 10 laps that I got a lot of oversteer, and I thought I got a punch in the beginning, and then I had to let the other guys go by. Yeah, and then suddenly the car caught flames, and I could see that the cable for the petrol was cut, and there was running fuel on the tires. Yeah, and then suddenly the car was on fire.
But let's go back to the positives. It was a fantastic start to sweep into the lead so quickly.
Yeah, we out-dragged Mercedes on the straight, and I could have comfortable lead, and it was going very well with the traffic. But then suddenly the car was sliding around. I thought I got a punch or something like that. But yeah, it showed that it's too late now.
Do you know if the team can repair it? A petrol fire isn't as serious as an oil fire, but it's still pretty serious.
Yeah, it's still very serious. I opened the back out there when it was fire, and I saw there was petrol running out. So when it's so hot back there, it's caught fire very fast. And yeah, I think we can fix it, and let's hope in a couple of hours that we are on the track again.
Nicky, well done. Thank you. Hard luck.
You know, looking at Nicky, you'd never know he was Danish.
Now, there is a replay of action just a few moments ago. This was
this could be
battle for the lead.
This could be what's under investigation. This could be indeed what's under investigation.
Oh my goodness me, either side of the Clio Cup car. And Darren Turner had to pick one or the other. Now, does he get the advantage going into the corner? No, he does not. There's how Jerome Bleekemolen got back into the lead. Paul.
But I certainly don't think there was any suggestion of a yellow flag.
Yeah, I didn't see any.
The yellow flag is here at that point, so not where that particular incident was taking place. So for my money, that was a clean overtake by Jerome Bleekemolen to take the lead, John.
Darren Turner still with Lorenzo Case behind him. Andreas Simonsen is another 14 seconds further back in 5th position, and then the top 6 is made up by the first of the McLarens. There's your leader, Jerome Bleekemolen. Well, we're just 7 minutes left of this first hour, and apologies that we haven't spoken about any of the other classes. But I think you can probably understand why. Let me run down some leaders for you. Patrick Heisman, Patrick Fantastic, is leading the 997 class. Martin Ragginger has got ahead of Rob Barth. The 8 and the 88 now, 10 seconds apart. Ragginger in the number 8 A6 AM, and the 88 Ferrari of Rob Barth is now, as I said, 10 seconds behind.
Has been behind since lap 6, Gone.
Thank you.
Regener just with a 2:05.1.
And that's his fastest lap of the race.
Yeah,
so he hasn't broken out of the bracket yet. That's interesting, isn't it? Heisman, as I say, is leading in the 44 Porsche, the 997 class. In SP2, his brother, Duncan Heisman, in the number 98, which is the Equipe Verschoor Renault Megane Trophy that we were watching earlier on. That's the Brahms, Fremuth and Duncan Heisman. That's father and son in there. And the mother is racing
with the Divas.
The Divas, yeah. Started the race, I think, if I'm not mistaken. In Class SP3, Alex Buncan by 3 seconds now as the leaders are back in traffic.
This is, I think this is a replay of how Darren Turner got by Claudia Hurtgen. It is.
Wow.
Into 2nd place.
Yeah, it happened just a moment or two ago. Just pausing for a moment while we get the cars across the line to...
Pausing to catch your breath.
Well, it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Some other class leaders for you. Peter van der Soelen in the number 63 leads A5. That is the BMW E46 GTR. And A2 Jens Henrik Hansen in the little Citroën. Oh my goodness me.
That's Darren Turner going
for the lead.
Trying for the lead.
the battle for the lead then, with Darren Turner trying to get past Jerome Blakemollen for the lead, Paul.
Yeah, just I noticed the number 145 coming into the pits. That's the Barwell Motorsport Aston Martin. Came into the pits, but didn't actually stop at his pit. He's gone straight up to the refueling area. So I think that's one of the first ones to take on the fuel and doing it as a fuel-only pit stop. That's the Aston Martin number 145, which is run by Mark Blemmer's Barwell Motorsport team. Tom and Jeff Kimber-Smith, two of the drivers of that car.
That's another family affair in that car as well, isn't it? There are a number of them down there. Yeah, it could almost be the theme tune.
You don't want me
Sly
singing.
and the Family Stone, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you are right.
There is Darren Turner. A moment ago, he was trying for the lead, and he's
Very close moment.
we all backed off the screen.
Yeah, because I thought it was going to be debris coming through the screen at us. Wow, that was close. He tried to dive underneath Blakemollen, and Blakemollen got blocked by a slower car, and then in turn basically short brake Darren. He did not on purpose.
No.
But the effect was the same.
Wow. Leader across the line for lap 25, half a second between himself. Hodkins dropped back a couple of seconds now in third place from Lorenzo Kiss in the first of the Ferraris. Another half a second back. And now traffic plays its part again. Darren Turner is warming to his task, I would say here, as well as being a very, very successful racing driver. He's branched out into other things. He was one of the McLaren test drivers a few years ago and got involved at a very early stage in simulator work for Formula One, and he's got his own simulator company now in Banbury.
And in Jerome Blakemollen, the guy he's chasing, you've got Darren and Jerome, who are two, I'll call them young drivers because I'm 53 years old, but the guys who are just now coming into the meat of their career. They are just coming into their prime. Jerome Blakemollen a year ago had one of the best seasons that anybody could have. He won multiple times in the United States, showing up and racing with different teams. He was the driver of choice in the American Le Mans Series GTC category. If you could get Jerome Blakemollen, you were almost guaranteed a victory. He had that kind of charm for a while in the series. And Darren Turner has just been making headlines for the last 2 seasons with some outstanding drives.
It's the New Zealand Motorsport Services Porsche with damage to the left rear wheel arch there. That's contact that has caused that. They got the big pry bar out in between the gap between the wheel and the bodywork as the battle for the lead again begins to come back together. And once again, although it's still just around about 3 seconds now, we have had it down under 2 for the top 4. It is beginning to come back together. Interesting how the concertina is in and out through the traffic, and it's not always in through the traffic. I think that BMW perhaps is a quicker car in clear air, he says. I can hear a windy pick in the background. There is the number 127. Now that is the Nissan in SP3.
Yep. One more page.
And that is Lucas Ordonez in second place. He's dropped to about 6 seconds behind Alex Bunkham, who leads the class. I think we get a breath now at this point, just for a moment.
Until Darren Turner decides to get aggressive again, yes.
Probably about another 10 more laps to pit stops for the leading cars, Paul?
At the very most, 10 more laps. Well, yeah, I don't know. Yes, about 10 more laps. They may have a couple coming in soon, but before you take too many breaths, there's a car on the end of a tow rope coming in through the infield hairpins.
One of the...
I will consult my spotter's guide. I think it might...
Volkswagen, isn't it?
You see, now you said that I thought it was a BMW. I thought it might have been the 63 car.
Oh, I think you're right.
152.
Oh, right, none of us, neither of us.
152 is the one. It's the car that's supporting the Maxi 48 race. It's got Maxi 48 written on the side, which confuses you.
152 is the core racing BMW.
152.
So. Yeah. Yeah, sadly, that Maxi 48 is the same weekend as Sebring, which.
Nothing going on that weekend.
I don't think there's very much of an overlap in terms of entrance, but I hear the message that you're sending.
Can I just say, once again, it's the same weekend as Sebring. We like endurance racing. Please keep them on different weekends. It keeps me out of trouble. Well,
yeah, because you aren't missing Sebring, pal. I'm already losing McCoy. I'm not losing you too.
152 coming into the pit lane. That BMW on the end of the wire. Pretty funky colour scheme on the BMW, on the Aston Martin in second place, but we've warmed to that.
At night, it's outstanding.
Yeah, you'll see as the sun goes down, and round about, well, just before 6 o'clock is sunset here this evening local time. That's GMT +4 we are here. You'll see one or two of the colour schemes have been specifically designed for running in the darkness. Hello to Emma Buxton, who is just tweeted in. Sophie's first school day today. Proud mother, and Emma's birthday as well. Happy birthday, Emma.
Hope Emma didn't shed a tear. That's always emotional.
17 McLaren comes in. Phil Quaife, Paul. Are you happy with the lappage of that car?
Yes, I would think so.
28 laps.
Right. Has it stopped, or has it gone straight past the pit and on into the refueling area?
No, it stopped. He's
stopped and he's getting tyres.
Right, okay.
Yeah, Phil Quaife stays in the car. New Dunlop's been... having a look at that. I'm not sure that did get new tyres, actually.
Looks like a driver change.
I'm wrong. Phil Quaife is out of that car. Wow, that was a very, very quick driver change. But they're having to push it to restart it. And has gone off to the fuel station. Now let's see who got into that. Meantime, the battle for the lead.
We'll find out in 3 minutes when he comes out of the fuel station.
Here is the battle for the lead coming out of the final corner just to our right. Crossing the start. Code 60. Code 60 flag is out. So we have an issue that has neutralised the circuit. This is the first use of it in the race, and everybody will have to slow down.
And they are.
Massive
Quickly.
in the pits. So there's a problem out on the circuit. There will be no safety car. This will give us the opportunity to explain to you the working of Code 60. Ooh. Debris on the circuit from someone who has a red car. Now, it didn't look Ferrari in shape unless it was a front valance. It certainly wasn't a back valance. It's one of the BMWs. Oh,
number 77.
Pickup guys. The tape guys, the replay guys doing great work. Frederick Schmidt's BMW.
Tape apes. Do they call them tape apes over here?
In comes the Ram racing car. In has come from 4th place Lorenzo Kitt. Now, interestingly, the first 3 went through. They were just coming out of the finishing line, out of the final corner as the Code 60 was called, and they couldn't get into the pits in time. If you're in the last corner, get in, get some tyres on, and get to the fuel station. 60 is already rolling. Johnny Molan in that car.
16 is also already away.
Ram Racing, Johnny Molan gets out, and in gets their gentleman driver, which is Cherek Ara. Saudi Fulton's number 12 had Dominic Schwager. Didn't see if there was a change there. There was a change. We're not sure who got into it. I think it might have been Abdulaziz Al Faisal who got into that car. The number 2 Mercedes Black Fulton Mercedes car has gone through. There is Shane Lewis in the Black Lotus Evora. Well, Paul, this puts all the calculations up the spout, doesn't it, really? Well, an early code code 60.
It doesn't actually put them up to spout, but what it does mean is that everybody is still on the same strategy. Because what I thought would happen in the race, if it hadn't have gone code 60, was you'd get the leaders coming in at different times, and therefore as making it quite complicated to work out who had how much fuel on board. But the way this has worked out is that I'm going to assume that they all started with the full 120 litres. They'll all have used roughly the same amount of fuel, so they'll all be putting roughly the same amount of fuel back in again. So this will, if anything, work against the AMs waking their way up through the field and hand a little bit more back to the pros in terms of the overall position. Whether an overall AM car can win the race, I'm not sure.
The AM leader has come in and gone to the fuel stop. That's the number 8. And also the 88 of Rob Barth is in the pit lane. Just over an hour down, just over an hour has been completed. So let's give you an hourly update, if you like, here from the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai. Before that, Jim is about to say it.
There are 11 cars for 10 pumps. I'm just saying.
Thank you. Good point. He's counted the amount of...
only 8 pumps.
Well, yeah, that's right, because...
so if you're diesel, it's not so bad.
And so 6 petrol pumps, so there's 11 cars there for 6 petrol pumps. Ooh, I bet there's a
And remember, it's a normal petrol pump. It pumps at normal phase. It's what do you call it? A pistol grip, isn't it?
Yes.
So Jerome Blakemon leads for last year's champion winning team. That is the #1 Team Abu Dhabi by Black Falcon. He started the race on pole position, dropped as far as 4th, I think, before finding his way back up through the traffic. Darren Turner has improved the position of car number 15 to 2nd position, half a second behind, and he will stay half a second behind, of course, because everybody is doing 60 kilometres and is not allowed to overtake. That is the beauty of code 60. 4.3 seconds further back. And the only other one of the top 3 not to have pitted, Claudia Herdgen, who has led the race for the number 24 Saudi Falcons team, BMW Z4.
They're standing by for her.
And that's a dangerous thing to do if you haven't come in.
And you may see some changes of position based on who got in the queue for the petrol.
Well, I'm only going to do the top 3 because everyone else has been into the pits. Fabien Giroir is back out on the track in the number 9, the Gulf Racing Middle East Lamborghini, and I think he might jump some places because they got in and out very, very quickly indeed. And the leader is in the pit lane. He's behind the number 51 Porsche, and Darren Turner, 40 kilometres an hour, and up the inside, Claudia Herdgen, a very sensible piece of driving indeed, comes to a stop.
Also, the 147 is making its first call to pit lane, as I think that's Dirk Mueller standing by to get in. I might be wrong on that one.
He's already in.
Nick. Yeah.
New set of Dunlop tyres going on to the BMW. The tyres already done for the Mercedes-Benz. Look at the brake dust as well. Mercedes-Benz, the leader, has gone, and he's right up alongside the number 11 Ferrari that was coming through. That was very close call indeed in the pit lane. If that had been F1, that was definitely an unsafe release. But they'll get away with that now. Where is the Aston Martin? I think they've already down and gone.
No,
they're still there. I can see them. So they're taking a little more time.
Mercedes in for fuel as well.
Mercedes in for fuel. Saudi Falcons in for fuel, Nissan 370 in for fuel, and Aston Martin
in for fuel.
Queuing. He can't even get right round the corner. Now he just trickles in there.
And it's interesting, John, the 127 did not stop in its pit box. The 147 was in for service. The 127 went right by the pit box and right to the fuel pumps.
Ah, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Martin Ragginger, we're watching as we're back to green flag. Ooh. That was interesting then, wasn't it?
So now all the cars that pitted in the first round are able to run around at speed, while Claudia Herdgen, Darren Turner, not anymore.
The 1, the 15 and the 24.
Thank you, are all parked at the fuel pumps.
Massive advantage to anybody who got in quickly. And I think when they come round here, we'll find that we have a new leader.
Yeah, definitely, John, because what's happened is that not everybody came in under that code 60 because they've worked out that everybody else is going to be in, and so the fuel pumps were going to be
Stadler Motorsport, I think, might be leading this.
Absolutely right. Rolf Ineichen at the wheel of the number 20 Stadler Motorsport Porsche. This is an AM class car, so in any case, they've got a greater fuel allowance. The car is lighter, so its consumption is less, so that car will be taking the lead, and up into second place will be coming the number 81 Audi R8 LMS from the Dragon Speed team with Enzo Potolicchio at the wheel. So we're going to have 2 AM cars leading the race, with very likely in third place the 997 Porsche of number 44 Patrick Huisman at the wheel, John. So
and our 3 leaders could drop as far as 15th or 16th position.
Well, even further, Jim, because they're still at the fueling pumps. So you know
they're going to lose a lap.
They're going to lose at least a lap. I mean, it's. There's ways of playing this and there's ways of not playing it. Remember I said when we were talking about Code 60, if you weren't on the second part of the circuit, if you were around at the beginning of the lap, didn't necessarily make sense to go into the pits as soon as the Code 60.
You have to be in the last third of the track to take advantage of it. Otherwise, if you come in next time around and it goes green, which is exactly what's happened,
to the 3 lead,
massively disadvantaged. Massively disadvantaged. So
they might have felt that they had to pit then.
I can't believe
they've got fuel left. They would have filled the car to 120 litres at the start. Good point. As I say, they've got that cushion of fuel in the tank.
And there he is.
And there is our new leader. Rolf Ineichen goes across the line in the number 20 Stadler Motorsport. Hop Suisse. Hop, hop, hop.
Hop Suisse.
It's for my mother-in-law back in the UK. And it is Vincenzo Potolicchio in second place. Enzo. And Patrick Fantastic goes through in third in the 997 class Porsche.
Patrick Huisman.
Fabien Giroir goes through for Gulf Racing Middle East in the Lamborghini. So that is the top 4 after that shuffle around in Code 60. Let's go down to the pit lane. A good opening stint by Claudia Hurtgen for Saudi Falcons, but possibly, Nick, just slightly ruined by that Code 60 and their tactics of coming in on the second lap around.
Claudia, a fantastic stint by you, an amazing racing for the start of a 24-hour race.
Yeah, the first lap was very good. The car felt perfect in the beginning. After 30 minutes, I decided to come a little bit down with the speed and control the first 3 positions to save the car, and also in the traffic. I come a little bit down, but the first lap was really nice because of the car was so good.
Now, unfortunately, it looks like that Code 60 came at exactly the wrong time for you.
Yes, of course. I was starting to accelerate out of the last corner, so I saw the flag, but it was 10 meters too late to turn in the pit lane. But, you know, it's so long, and I think Code 60 will come quite often during this 24-hour race, and so next time we are on the better side, and so we will see.
Kelly, I didn't see who got in. Who replaced you in your car?
Abdulaziz.
Thank you very much.
Spot on, Nick. Well done with your driver identification. Whew. So, Rolf Ineichen in the Stadler Motorsport Porsche. 5 DRAM.
Easy to do.
Yeah.
5 DRAM.
Yeah, Potolicchio in the 81 in second.
2 AM cars, first and second. Yeah, it could work, Paul.
Well, they're rolling the dice, aren't they?
The Mercedes is on the way again. Her own Blake Molan has handed over to Sean Edwards. The Aston Martin is on the way again, and Darren Turner has handed over to Tomonobu Fuiji. And the BMW is on its way again, and as Claudia Hurtgen says, that's now in the hands of Abdulaziz Al Faisal. But they still are falling down the field. Although they're on their way, they have dropped a lap behind. In fact, they've dropped 2 laps behind because the Stadler Motorsport Porsche number 20 is now on its 32nd lap, and the Mercedes number 1, Sean Edwards, is setting off on his 30th lap. So he's 2 laps behind now, those 2 cars. It is catchable, but it's I can't say, not sure that I would say a strategical mistake, but I don't think it was necessarily the right thing to do for Claudia to, having missed the pit entrance the first time, to then come in the next time around.
Agree.
She had fuel aboard, I'm pretty sure of that. They'd been running for just over an hour, and I'm pretty sure that Mercedes and the BMW would have had fuel for at least an hour and 15, if not an hour and a half.
Just a very quick observation from me. The number 2 car has Andreas Simonsen on the timing screen. I can see Andreas Simonsen on the pit wall, so it is not Andreas who is in the car. Let's go down to the pit lane. A fantastic opening stint from the quartet of leading cars. The pole man, Jerome Blingemolen, has taken a breath and is with Nick Damon.
Jerome, that was a really interesting first few laps, especially right at the beginning. Why were you so slow on those first couple of laps?
Well, I mean, we couldn't do warm-up. I was still betting in the brakes on the recon laps to the grid, driving in the drive shafts. I haven't been flat out until the light went off because I had to be careful for the drive shaft. So, I mean, the Porsche was going to catch us anyway because they have more power. But I was just careful. You have to be careful with a new car. Everything was new.
It was amazing dice between the 4 of you, and traffic played a major part, didn't it?
Yeah, we are quite good in traffic. I think overall, over the stint, we are quite good as well, so it looks very good for the race. It's just very unlucky with this situation with the Code 60 going away. When we started for the refueling, it is now we lost like a lap. So probably if I drove like 2 seconds a lap slower in the beginning of the race, we would be leading right now, which is strange because the fastest guy should be leading. But okay, we'll fight again, and hopefully we'll be back at the top soon.
I suppose the advantage is that you may have lost a lap, but this year you're allowed to go as fast as you like to make it up.
Yeah, I mean, you have to push very hard now. The good thing is we are good on fuel, because even when I was leading, I tried to save the fuel. Darren Turner was very fast as well on the S, and I think they have a strong car over the full distance as well. And of course, the Schubert BMWs are fast, so it's going to be a long fight till the end.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Other news from the pits, the 152 BMW that we saw coming in with the Core Oyster racing car, that's got a head gasket problem. Not quite sure what problem there might be with the head gasket apart from a failure. So there's going to be some time that car spends in the pits. And other news from the pits is the Ram Racing Ferrari, which came in to the pits. That now has a new driver in car number 30. They now have Chirag Aira at the wheel of that car in number 30.
So how much of this, Paul, was the AM strategy, and how much of this was just the top 3 being unlucky?
No, I think the top 3. I'm with Paul. I think the top 3 should have stayed out. If you don't get in the first lap around in that situation, if you're not absolutely certain it's going to be a very long Code 60, you can't take the chance of getting caught for 4 or 5 minutes like those guys did in the pit, in the fuel queue.
And I think they learned a lesson on the fuel queue too.
And it wasn't just sort of AM strategy as well, because some of the AMs did choose to come into the pits, but I think it was just smart strategy from those people who were in the right place and had the people on the radio saying, what shall I do, what shall I do, and giving them the right answers to stay out. Because, for example, the 2 AM cars that we have in the lead, Inaiken in the Porsche, the Stadler Porsche number 20, and Potolicchio in the Audi number 81, they're first and second. But Rob Barth with the number 88 Ferrari, the Dragon Speed racing car, that made a pit stop, has handed over to Matt Griffin now. They're down in 16th place, which is roughly where they were anyway.
Yeah, but Martin Ragginger, who also made a stop, who was leading the class, he's jumped up to 7th because he got in earlier.
Yeah,
right.
And that's about where you were on the track. He was only 10 seconds behind him on the track when they went into the pits, and that 10 seconds made a huge difference. Yeah. Huge, and that will give you, Paul, some idea. 10 seconds on the track before the pit stop between the 8 and the 88, and now a lap and 90 seconds.
Yeah. So it does make a difference. Into the pits and out again has gone Patrick Huisman at the wheel of the number 44 Porsche. This is the 997 class car, and I didn't actually see whether he went into the fueling area or not.
Yes, he did.
He did, okay. I didn't see it from here, but the screen tells us that he did. So
An hour and
number
15
44
minutes.
into the fueling area, and so we now just have the leaders in Aiken and Potolicchio, who have yet to make a stop at the front of the field, and they'll be the next ones as candidates, John.
Another member of that fantastic battle at the head of the field was Phil Quaife, who has handed the 17 Lapidus McLaren over to Tim Mullen. He fought his way up into the top 5 early on, and we can have a word with Phil now. He's down in the pit lane with Nick Damon.
With your rivals, Claudia Hertgen and Jeroen Bleekemolen, and they're bemoaning the problems with the fuel station, but you boys got it dead right.
Exactly. Our engineer Mark gave us a brilliant call just coming in just before the Code 60 came out, so we timed the fuel stop perfectly, and there was no traffic out there whatsoever, so we managed to fill up and get back out, and now we're going very well with Tim at the wheel.
I see that you came in before the Code 60. Did you kind of get a feeling or a tip off that they're about to call Code 60 then?
No, not at all. I think it was just luck, but I haven't had a full debrief with the engineer, so maybe he had a trick up his sleeve.
How was the car going? Well, you were involved in the peripheries, an unbelievable fight at the front.
No, it's brilliant. I really enjoy racing with the slower cars as well. It makes it very exciting, and we had some great battles, me and Darren, and also the BMW and the SLS, so great fun. The car is running very well, and we did a great stop here, so long may it last.
How are these very different conditions we have today, are they going to help the car it being cooler and blowier?
Yeah, after a single stint for myself, I feel fresh as anything, so we can easily do double stints if we wanted to. It's really healthy for the driver in the car, but it's a little bit tricky because obviously the wind is quite hard and a lot of sand is going onto the circuit, so the grip level is decreased since yesterday, so it's a little bit more tricky.
Phil, thanks a lot. Best luck racing.
So out on the racetrack, the number 81 car has come straight through the pits and right to the fuel pumps. So that is the one of our 2 leaders who have made a call to the pit lane to refuel. We're just waiting for the leader, the number 20 Porsche, to make their decision to come in as he completes his 35th lap and starts out on lap 36. Leading the Pro category, though, is the number 9. That is the Lamborghini.
Racing. The 81 car, I think, went straight into the fuels.
Yes,
Yep. That's interesting. So
no, it did come in.
Oh, it did?
No, I don't think it did, Paul.
I thought he went straight to the fuel.
Okay.
If they did tyres, they did it very quick. Yeah. I don't think they changed drivers then in that case, because it went from being P to F very quickly on the timing screen.
Okay. I didn't watch it do the tyre change, so
we'll see if we can get Nick to let us know about the Dragon Speed Audi R8, whether it changed. It was Vicente Potolicchio who was at the wheel of that. I'm pretty certain he is still at the wheel. We'll see if Nick can have a wander down. And the Khaled El Kabazi number 2 Mercedes-Benz has just gone straight on out on the circuit there. Now, has he rejoined Bruce? Did you see? He did. And he's back on round again. So, there, in fact, there he goes just...
Yeah, that was the 14th.
He's about to come through. Now there he goes, right underneath us. Too many Mercedes. It's not often I say that. So that was a little bit... oh, and a problem for the 140. That car's just come out of the pit lane, I believe. And it was driven by, he says, skimming through, John Isafides, and he is going very slowly indeed, and confirmed from the pit lane that the number 81 Dragon Speed USA ended Audi R8 LMS Ultra was fuel only. It did not stop in it, but it doesn't have to stop in its pit box.
Not at all. The only implication that has is that Potolicchio will have to come in
20 minutes time.
40 minutes time
40 minutes time,
for his driver change. So as I say, what that Code 60 did was to bring everybody in at the same time. What you will tend to get happening over the course of the race is that everybody will get onto slightly different schedules for all these kinds of reasons. So there's another car I can see on the screen.
The Porsche number 42, I believe.
Porting the wrong direction.
Yep.
Absolutely right. It is number 42.
And he just doesn't get it right again and goes back around. That's not a very happy way to go.
Yeah, this is one of the slower of the
It's Peter Krajcek in that car.
Yeah, it's one of the slower A6 AM cars. I said earlier on there's A6 Pro and A6 AM, but within the A6 AMs you can either take a 2:05 minimum reference lap time, or you can take a 2:07 minimum reference lap time. That's one of the very few that's taken the 2:07 route, which gives you a lighter weight, more fuel, but as I say, generally it means that the drivers can't actually lap them quite as quickly, and if they spend their time doing 3-point turns in the road, then that means that they're even slower.
Yeah, that is not the prescribed line. There is the 81 of Vincenzo Portaliccio, who we know stayed in that car and just took fuel. And I actually don't think that was a bad call from that car.
No.
Because next time that it comes in, what will be interesting to see, if they do a driver change, which they must do, then you might as well do tyres, as we've already discussed. If you have to now look at that in a completely opposite way. So taking the time to do the driver means you have the time to do the tyres. But then do they fuel that car straight away, or do they send the new driver out with a half-empty car and bring him in 25 minutes into his stint and then fill him and run to the end?
That's what I do. I mean,
it doesn't matter. In effect, you've got to put the fuel in at some point.
But it would seem the most efficient to do the driver change on one stop and do the fuel on the other stop.
Oh yeah, absolutely right. Do one and then the other. Absolutely right. But the question is, given that you've got 2 hours of the driver and an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half of fuel, do you do the half-hour bit and then the hour and a half bit, or do you do the hour and a half bit first?
Yeah.
That's the bit that doesn't make any difference. Great racing on the screen between...
contact between the 45 and the 64, and that almost pushes the 64 into Darren Turner's number 15.
It's not Darren now, of course.
Fuji now behind the wheel.
They've changed drivers.
Everybody jumped out. Fuji behind the wheel of that car. 5 D-Rams for me.
How far has that car dropped down? To 17th position.
Yeah.
See,
and he's come back. He was further down than that. He was in 23rd after the pit stop.
So the cars that were first, second and third before the code 60 and missing the pit lane was the number 1 Black Falcon Mercedes, now in 12th with Sean Edwards on board. The number 15 Aston Martin with Tomonori's Fuji at the wheel, now in 17th, and both still 2 laps off the lead. And the 24 Saudi Falcons BMW
13th,
which is now 13th with Abdulaziz Al Faisal at the wheel. So they've actually done slightly better. I'm not entirely certain how that was. They turned that car around quicker than the Aston Martin and had got in the fuel queue quicker. That's the answer to that. The Aston was still on its jacks, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep. And they went by. Yep. And they had a very quick stop. They did the driver change and tire change in about 28 seconds because I had a watch of it.
Not your new watch?
No, I didn't bring that. I'm still learning. Most complicated timepiece I've ever strapped on my body.
How many separate things can it do at once?
9.
Into the pit lane, Porsche number 45, and this is the Benoit Fretin ended 997 Cup car. Remember, if you have a Porsche, there are a number of classes you can run in, and the all Porsche 997 class is one of them. And I'm just looking to be a little bit worried about the front end of that car. That's interesting. They put that up and didn't put tyres on it.
Almost as if they were checking the suspension.
Yeah, I think he's been off there. I think he's been off. There was a little bit of a panel gap that didn't look quite Porsche-like at the front end of that car. Porsche's twice a winner here in the previous 7 runnings of the Dunlop Dubai 24 Hours, but not recently. The BMW and 2010, wasn't it, there, the last one?
How many laps, Paul, did you say you thought it would take for the
37 to 39, he says.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought.
For fueling, Fueling is
okay.
37, 38. Yeah, I mean,
engine has gotten to lap 38 complete.
Well, yeah, but he's an AM, so he's on a minimum of 40 because he gets an extra 5 litre. I say he doesn't get an extra 5 litres, but the other ones get less than a 5 litre less. On the screen, great battle going on
for 11th place, Paul.
Yes,
and it's just as hot as it was when it was for first and second.
Oh, one either way, almost pays off for Abdulaziz Al Faisal in the 24. Now it was.
He had a better line.
He's got a much better run out of turn number 14 as they're heading up to the top of the rise in front of us. No, they're not. I'm on the wrong part of the track. They're on the back stretch now, heading down towards turn 10. Nothing between the performance, relatively, of those two cars in a straight line.
It's who catches the traffic when and who plays the tune best.
Wasn't Abdulaziz Al Faisal the driver who was chasing back at the end of the race last year in the Z4?
I think it probably was. I think it was.
He was absolutely on
flyers, yeah.
So now with no reference time, of course, these guys are really just set off and like the blue touch paper.
Zed Sandstrom.
Was Sandstrom, you're right. 2:03.1 last time around by Edwards. 2:03.0 by Abdulaziz Al Faisal. Now, you would think then that would be great, seeing as though the leaders are doing 2:06s and 2:04s and 2:09s, but they are 2 laps up the road.
Yeah.
You know, they are 11 kilometres further up the road. If you wanted to look at that in time, as Abdulaziz Al Faisal has to get out of the throttle brakes, and I think there was a little lock up there.
Yes, there
was.
was.
Thomas Fleischer in the A6 AM number 7 Porsche was the man who had seen one of the cars and then moved back onto his racing line, and again you see the blue flag, one car goes by, you think I'm fine, let's head to the apex. Oh, probably not. Be the right answer.
Maybe I shouldn't.
Yes, maybe that wasn't such a great decision that I've just made there. It is very much like driving in traffic on the 311 or
they see the first car, they don't often see the second.
It's like the taxi drivers here who sit, I think, deliberately in your rear 3/4, just in that spot that you can't see from any of your mirrors. Now into the pit lane, the 138. That is one of the GC Automotive cars, if memory serves. 130. It's the Busan Ginian Renault Megane Trophy. Excuse me.
Number 59 Porsche is also in.
That being the Bob Aranzini Porsche 996 Cup car. There's our leader with the black stripe down the middle, coming across the start-finish line and into turn number 1, starting his 40th lap. So Paul will be calling him in any second now.
I think he can probably run to an hour and 40 minutes altogether. But with the Porsche there, number 20, running. Just check down on its fuel. It can take 100 litres of the 120 that the tank is allowed to be. So as I say, they'll be able to go to an hour and 40, but anything between now and the hour and 40 is just using up that cushion. That means that when they refuel, it won't go all the way to the top.
2:05 is the reference time for that car, and he did a 2:05.274 last time around, so that's a good lap for him.
Yeah.
The 2:09 beforehand, not so good. Are we back at code 60?
Code 60, yes, we are. We are back at a code 60.
As soon as you see everybody slow down, it is a real giveaway. You don't even have to look at the start-finish line. There is the code 60 flag. And great timing for the racing divas who were in the last corner. Now, this might not be a nightmare for Rolf Adishan, and into the pit lane straight away this time has come, I think, Sean Edwards. Yes, there he is, right in front of us, and followed in by the Z4, the 24, which is wide Z4, and they are going straight to refueling. Well, this might seem ridiculous because they've not long since been in, only what, half an hour ago, or perhaps even less. But Paul, they wouldn't have been able probably to fill the tank with what they were allowed last time around.
Well, they would have filled it to the maximum, but that wouldn't have been to the top because
they would have used the maximum amount of fuel they were allowed to take, but that would not have filled the tank.
Precisely so. Yes. They're only allowed to put 105 litres in, although I wonder if they ducked out of the queue.
I was going to say.
I wonder if they ducked through the queue and didn't fill fuel at all, because that doesn't make sense otherwise.
Or short-filled it. They may have.
No, it doesn't make sense to short-fill it.
Okay.
The only thing that would have made sense would be to put it to the top, and it wouldn't have. It would have taken the full 105 litres, I reckon.
I think, Nick, a little bit of investigation is required, because we need to find out if they got fuel and how much they got. Well, if they got fuel, they would have taken everything they could, presumably. We've got one of the intervention Audis heading out on pit lane. What I can't tell you at the moment, and Paul will check the
there's a truck headed up the.
We've got a flatbed coming up towards.
And there's a pickup truck stopping up at the
turn number
10.
11 and 12.
Yeah, turn 12.
And there is a. No, he's still moving. There's a Nissan Pathfinder parked exactly where I want to see at the moment. There's a couple of people leaning over the fence. So there is the thing that we didn't expect to see, which is a pace car, but it's not running as a pace car, of course, it's running as an intervention car. And there is the answer. It is the number 10 MRS GT Racing McLaren that has caused this Code 60. Driver is out of the car, and that's Andres Zuber. Andreas Zuber is out of the McLaren and
looking a little less than pleased.
Well, that car's facing the wrong direction, Jim. So
yeah, exactly.
The MRS GT Racing, the German-entered team.
Sean Edwards and Abdul Aziz Al Faisal are back out on the racetrack, so they have fueled. So that was a pretty short.
Well, they were at the end of the lap again. You see, getting in straight away.
But I mean, they didn't take a lot of fuel because they weren't there very long.
Okay. But they were in and out, as you say, very quickly. Still shown actually in 10th and 11th place, which is pretty much where they were. And Rolf Anichen now comes into the pit lane from the lead of the motor race. The red and white. Sorry, no, that's the 8 car that's come in. That is Martin Ragginger.
Rolf is listed in the pits.
Yeah, so he's already gone in. He's already gone into the box. Yeah. And there has been tyres. There is now a driver change.
And the tyre.
Now, this is interesting. Martin Ragginger, is he going to stop? Yes, he is. He's just a long way down the pit lane. The 8 car then, the Farco Autotech Porsche, the red and white machine, pulls over. And already Martin Ragginger is out of that car.
This may move Matt Griffin up.
It also means that we've now had 5 different cars in the lead of the race in the first hour and a half.
And 2 Code 60s in the first 90 minutes. That's that's last year we didn't. Yeah. Last year it was a while before we had our first Code 60, as I recall.
So the McLaren, which has caused this problem, is being craned back on. Oh, dragged back on, should I say? On board with the 121 Racing Divas, and that's Gabi Ujji, who's at the wheel of that car.
Oh, the 11 car is in for a stop.
That's Rafael Giannamaria, and he has certainly incurred the wrath of the clerk of the course. For what? We don't know. The number 11 Ferrari with a stop and hold for what I think was about 20 seconds. I wonder if that was a Code 60 violation. You normally get twice the amount of time that it is decided you have gained. We're in our second Code 60 here at the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai. We've had an hour and 36 minutes of racing, and just waiting to see if Ralph Anichen can pop back out in the lead. I think Giroir is going to come round in the lead Yes. This time around for
Without
the Gulf Racing Middle East Lamborghini Gallardo, and that will be another leader. And Paul's...
no, that was the one that I included.
Okay.
Because he, although he hasn't led across the line, I'm kind of assuming that he will do. So that's
the virtual leader at this point.
The fifth leader of the race.
Now that is one of the Fark Auto Tech Swiss Porsches. That's the 8 car.
It is the 8 car.
So that's now Otto Klose at the wheel. Now that car then, that's interesting. That car changed drivers but didn't take fuel.
No, that was its third pit stop. So it's done one for both, one for fuel, and one for driver and tyres.
Okay.
So, you're keeping up?
No. I just look at you and you tell me. I don't need to keep up, Paul. That's why you're here.
Oh yeah.
Our heads would explode.
No, my head would have exploded a long time ago. There is the 41 Porsche that goes back out of
chuckling about that, I think.
That's the Sebastian Krubile entered car. Ram Racing car comes back in with Chirag Ira. Now, he has got out of the car, and
that's a reasonably short stint, because he only got in at the last code.
Correct.
60.
I think 81 came in and fueled as well, or made his pit stop.
Is that Smithy in there?
Yes, he did. That's
came
absolutely
in,
right.
made a pit stop, and it's not fueling, but made his tire and driver change.
To Peter Aronson, who's now behind the wheel of that car. Yes, absolutely right, Jim.
It's Guy Smith that's got into the number 30 Ram Racing Ferrari. It's quite clearly see brand new tyres on that Porsche there, with the sticker still going around. Out goes the Ram Racing car. And I would think if he wants to go on fuel now, he will find that the petrol station is pretty quiet. Because at the moment, I can only see one person, two people in the top 50 at the fuel stop. 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe not.
No, if one of them's a diesel.
Well, yes, one of them was a diesel, so he might still get fueled. So this code 60 then taking a little while as we're trying to remove the number 10 MRS GT McLaren MP4 12C GT3. There's a lot of letters on the back of that car. It needed to be wide. The car's going to have to be wider. Why, says Ron Dennis? Because we can't get the name in. Into the pit lane comes one of the touring cars, the bright red 86 BMW. 69 BMW, the Frederick Schmidt. I was on the right part of the page, but said the number wrong. That's the Frederick Schmidt entered BMW 1 that he's sharing with Morris Faber, Freddie Nordstrom, John Maria Dumont, and Anithias Ladas.
The Lamborghini going through and making it official that they are in the lead, as we see the momentarily saw the number 20 car still at circulating after making his trip to the gas pumps. So Fabien Griot in the number 9 Lamborghini continues to lead, as we suspected that he would. Now it'll be interesting to see if Dirk Adorf comes through and also moves up a position.
No, I think that...
I think he was too far back.
Yeah, I think that Marco Seyfried, who's taken over the number 20 from Royal Phoenician, will come through in second place.
Wow,
there's an issue here with getting this McLaren onto the flatbed, isn't there?
Yes.
It's too low to get on. They haven't been able to get the tailgate, if you like, of the flatbed onto the ground, and that is what's causing the delay here. There is that BMW 1 Series that I was talking about just a moment or two ago. Freddie Nordstrom as part of the driving talent. There is Guy Smith rejoining in the white and blue Ferrari.
Currently 12th, listed as 12th. We'll see how things shake out. It takes scoring a full lap here to catch back up.
Quite right too, in my view. I don't like scoring systems where they change the order before it gets to the start-finish line.
Yeah,
even if it's accurate.
Yeah, even if it's accurate. For me, the order only changes at the start-finish line. I can understand it from the point of view of what's going on. Into the pits with some damage, John,
number 19.
is the J-Lock Lamborghini.
And damage on the right side of that car as it comes into the pit lane, right front. It's picked up either someone else's debris or it's folded back. The splitter at the front also coming in, the number 25 Jones car, the BMW.
5 dirham.
Yeah, another 5 dirham in the box. The Mercedes-Benz. It is a Dunkin' Donuts plastic bag, says Nick Damon from the pit lane. That's on the J-Lock car.
How American.
It's one way to get your sponsor in, isn't it? You see, Manabu Orido came through in second place there, but there's then pitted in that 19 J-Lock car.
And Dirk Ordorf.
Dirk Ordorf has come round, yeah. So I apologise, Jim, you were spot on. So he'll now go into second. So the number 12, Saudi Falcons, the second of their cars, and they kind of split their strategy earlier on, I presume. Now then it's going to be Khaled El Khabazi, I think, who comes through in the number 2, the second of last year's champion team cars.
And I think he is just in front of the 20 car.
I think he's just in front of Tim Mullen, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a white Porsche behind him. So.
As Dirk Ordorf has gone through, where is Khaled El Khabazi coming through in 4th position? There.
Yep.
Confirmed. And you're right, it is. It's Marco Seyfried and then Tim Mullen. Good spot. And Tim Mullen's come into the pits. That's why.
That's why.
He would have come through. I was looking at the. It does tell you which part of the.
When I looked up, Tim had come down on the pit apron, and I was looking at the racetrack.
127 Nissan in the pit lane, and they have come in out of second position in SP3.
But Sean Edwards has gotten a lap back.
Oh, I say that's absolute nonsense. They came in
and look at the 15 car, John, in 12th position. So they have at least relative to the 2 cars they were battling with early, the number 1 Mercedes and the number 24 BMW Z4, they have retaken the top position there.
That's because they've done 1 fewer stops.
Yes, exactly so. They didn't do that extra refueling stop, and what we need from one of the pit reporters is the information, the intelligence on whether or not the Mercedes ducked out of the pits when, ducked out of the queue, as it were, when he was doing his previous queuing for fuel. Because otherwise, to me, it doesn't make sense that he then had to come in for that second set of fuel. But that's how the Aston Martin number 15, the Craft Racing team, has managed to get up ahead of the other 2.
Could it be that they have made a decision that they'll fuel on every code 60, irregardless of where they are?
And I don't see the sense in it. And it could be, but I don't see the sense in it.
Yeah.
The Z4s, by the way, have 95 litres of fuel. Is that what they're allowed to fill?
Yes.
And so they have a 105 litre tank.
120 litre tank.
All right, okay. But they're only allowed to put 95 in at a time.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And they have to run at 65 millimetres of ground clearance at the back and 55 millimetres of ground clearance at the front. Whereas if you're in, and that's the same for all of the Pro cars, but as you're advised there by your correspondent, John, the amount that they're allowed to put in the fuel tank is different for virtually every car. In addition to the BMWs on 95, we also have the Gulf Racing Middle East Lamborghini and the
What's going on here?
Vizium Ferrari.
Yeah, he's telling somebody to go by. He's on the front straightaway.
He's just gone past us. Yeah, he's well offline. And look at the rubber debris on there. I'm not sure that car's in great nick at the moment.
It's almost
like it wasn't picking up there.
It's almost porpoising or something.
If it was going at top speed, you'd call that porpoising, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
No, that was struggling to go as slowly as he wanted to, I would say. This is the number 9. This is Fabian Giroir, the leader.
Is he... who's he waving at?
Or has he just got his hand out the window to stay cool?
No, he was just gesticulating there a moment ago. He was really... Yeah, he's shaking his fist at somebody.
Is he saying, let's get back underway? Is that what it is? Or, I wonder if somebody going ahead of him is going too slowly
not
for
going
him,
the
not
code
doing
60.
the 60. Mm-hmm. And the reason that the car was jumping
is because
the car,
he needs to go 60.
Gear, even in first gear, that car is...
That car we're
exactly
talking about is Fabian Giroir, the race leader, in the number 9 Lamborghini, the Gulf Racing Lamborghini. And
can't go by him.
Yeah,
can't go by him.
The problem is he's doing his code 60 at a different speed to the speed that the number 44 is doing, isn't it? But he has
lost a window on the right-hand side there.
The right-hand side window is out. It can be netted if...
well, he's just overtaken that BMW, and that isn't allowed under code 60 unless the BMW has a problem, the 64 car.
If the BMW waves him by, is it allowed?
No. That's the Silhouette BMW M3.
And it looks like he's going to go past this car as well. Nope. Thinks better of it. The 98 and the 98 speeds up.
I am almost certain his team are talking to him now and saying, "You're being watched. Please don't do that." We can all see it happening. Let me have a look at the right-hand side.
The idiots upstairs are talking about it.
those numpties from Radio Le Mans have drawn attention to you.
Just blown your cover.
He's I know what his problem is. He doesn't think these guys are doing 60 clicks. But the whole point of code 60 is you're not allowed to overtake.
And it's not do 60 kilometres an hour, it's do not exceed 60 kilometres an hour.
Is there a netting on that window as well? That's the other thing I'm looking at.
The 15 car comes into the pits. 88 comes into the pits.
He's going past the 18 now, Jean-Paul Pagny. No, he's not. He's thought better of it.
He's waving, go, go, go.
He clearly doesn't think that these cars are going quickly enough.
And of course, it
Matt
does
Griffin
matter.
in the pit lane. Sorry, Paul. Matt Griffin in the pit lane, but going straight to the fueling. This is the number 88, third in A6 AM at the moment.
And there's the 15. We'll see if he does the same
Martin
thing.
Coming in with Tomonobu Fuichi, and I think we'll find, and he's a bit further down the pit lane. I'm intrigued by what's going on with this Lamborghini, though, Paul.
Yes, I mean, the problem that he's got is that he's going past cars, and that's what he's not. That's one of the things he's not allowed to do. The problem is, though, that it's important to him because he's sitting on a lead, and the whole point of Code 60 is that the lead shouldn't shrink. And if he feels that his competitor, the nearest competitor, who is Dirk Adolf in the other Schubert BMW, the Saudi Falcons team BMW, he is aware that Dirk Adolf will be doing 60 kilometres an hour, and if he isn't doing 60 kilometres an hour, his lead is shrinking, and that's why he's getting very upset about it. It's not like it's just a safety car situation where they're sitting in a queue.
Well, now,
and look, we see now the 18 car as well.
His fist
also,
as well.
This is Jean-Paul Pagny. He's also saying we need to be going quicker, I think. So who have they got ahead of them that is slowing them down so much? Is the issue.
They'll be popping out here right behind the bank here in a moment, coming into turn 14.
I mean, the last lap of the leader was 5:42. The last lap of Dirk Adolf was 5:34. So that is the problem.
Yeah,
he's lost 9 seconds.
There they are, right there. They're behind a Porsche, two Porsches, and one of the Silhouette cars.
And of course, he knows from his dashboard what time he's doing around the track.
Yeah, but he has already overtaken 3 cars. I mean,
at least, yes, that we have seen.
But the Code 60 continuing to be shown, and it's another effect of which happens here is different people's idea of 60 kilometres an hour is different. So you get little queues building up as the people who are doing slow 60 kilometres an hour are holding up all the people who are doing slightly quicker 60 kilometres an hour.
The highway code in the UK says treat slow-moving cars as stationary when it comes to the rules of the road. I'm not sure that these guys... And I'm not sure, certainly, that Fabien Giroir is going to get that leniency from the clerk of the course, but we'll see what happens. Dirk Adolf in second place is 2 minutes, is a couple of laps and 2 minutes, a lap and 2 minutes behind. It's interesting, isn't it? They've both done almost exactly the same stint, 46 minutes, those cars. Who is... 77's just come into the pit lane, who were into the last 10 minutes of their stint. That was the Frederick Schmidt BMW that we saw earlier.
That lost its rear bumper.
Yes, indeed. That was the start of an earlier Code 60.
The short one that really threw the cat amongst the pigeons in this deal.
Was it ever? Pete Story in the number 60 car. That is the Simon Phillips entered Lotus Elise in A5. Third in A5 at the moment. He's done 1 hour and 49 minutes in that car. So I'm kind of thinking that it wouldn't be the worst idea for him to hustle into the pits and do a driver change.
He's done how much?
An hour and 49 minutes.
Ooh, yeah, that would be the time.
The great thing about this timing screen is that also on an hour and 49 minutes, and all of the 57s come in, the 101 we've just heard's come in.
Yep.
Tony Bueller in the 116.
Bueller.
Yes, Bueller.
Voodoo.
That is the Red Camel Jordans.NL Seat Leon. 1 minute 50 on his stint. So they all clearly came in at the last chance. And Johnny Safidis, of course, in the 140 that we were talking about earlier on. He's also into the 1 minute 50s now in the Nova Race Ginetta.
That's basically 1 hour 50, John. That's the race time. That's the time that the race has been going on. So those are the drivers, the ones you've just listed, are the ones that got in the car at the start and are still in the car.
Correct, yeah.
So that's the kind of the limit. Anybody who is still in the car for the start, who started the car and is still in the car in 10 minutes, will have exceeded the 2 hour limit.
The number 10 car is now on the flatbed. Ooh, and you can see the right rear wheel suspension is deranged there. So he's either hit something or had to, and it looks like, well, there might have been some contact there with somebody or with the tire wall.
But it's taken a long time, and this Code 60 started at 3:30. It's been 22 minutes of Code 60, which has been a long time, because normally one of the virtues of Code 60 is that it clears itself. It is cleared fairly quickly, and you can get on back with the race situation fairly promptly. And this
I think they had
a
mechanical issue with the flatbed, though, that caused them to delay this a little bit. How's the number 89 car doing?
It's currently in 29th place, 5th only in SP2.
Yeah.
This is the Audi TT, isn't it? The TTRS that you're referring to, Jim. Wolfgang Kaufmann is currently at the wheel of it.
I was expecting more from that car than 5th.
Yes, and I can only suspect they've got caught out on the strategy of the pit stops.
Yeah.
The car itself was started by I can't remember who started it actually, but Wolfgang Kaufmann is now the driver. Has been for the last half hour, most of which has been spent behind the Code 60.
So this Code 60, I would think, will be disappearing any second now. Nothing from race control about Girouard's overtaking there. So let's see if anything comes of that. 5:35.5 for Fabian last time around. 5:21.8 for Derek Adolph. See if we can use this slight cessation of hostilities at the front of the field, in fact across the field, to our advantage, and nip down into the pit lane. The inaugural winner of the Nissan GT Academy with PlayStation in 2009 is with the nickname, and that would be the man who started one of the 370Zs, Lucas Ordóñez.
Lucas, you came in, you did your stint, you got out, and you've been involved in non-stop debriefs. You've been chatting on the radio to drivers. What are you talking about? What are you discussing?
Well, you know, we don't have lap times on the dashboard, so we're trying to find a solution how to see our lap times, because we have a limitation. We can only do 2:12s in terms of lap times, and we can be quicker than that. So it's not easy as a driver to go slower than as you can. So we're trying to fix that, and Roman now is in the car, and I'm trying to explain to him what we can do to get a reference and to do over 2:12s on in terms of lap times. But everything seems okay. We lose quite a lot of time during the fuel in the first Code 60 period, but the car seems really good and fast, and yeah.
Actually, I mean, the whole pit lane has seemed very confused by these two Code 60s. I mean, did you have a statement beforehand if there's a Code 60 will come in regardless, or was it just a guess at the time?
Well, no, to be honest, it's not. we don't have a rule for that. In the first Code 60, we thought it was the best option to go to the pits and go for fuel, but it was really crowded there. So many people in the fuel station to get fuel, so we spent a lot of time, and now we are P4 or P5 in class, but we are fastest on our class, so it's a very long race, so we'll see.
Lucas, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Back to Green Flag Racing, and Fabien Giroir is off like a scalded cat across the start-finish line. Of course, it's not the start-finish line where the Code 60 ends. It's everywhere at the same time. And he really wanted to get past that big gaggle of cars ahead of him, Jim, and make the best of a little bit of clear track that he could obviously see in front of him.
Well, and he got caught out a little bit because he was probably about 400 yards past the 400 or 500 yards past the starter stand when the green flag actually waved, and 2 or 3 cars went blasting by them because when the Code 60 came out, their teams were quicker on the radio than the group from the number 9 car were, and so he had a little more work to do before he could actually get up to speed. He was caught out a little bit as cars were streaming by him.
Wow, and now he's got some work to do because his lead is down to 50.9 seconds as Dirk Adolf is back on the lead lap.
Yes, I mean, it's roughly what it should have been because it's half the lap, because it was kind of an artificially big lap gap before, so it's roughly half a lap still for Giroir in the lead Lamborghini there, ahead of Dirk Adolf in the green BMW number 12, with the third-placed Mercedes going through there with Khaled Al-Kibaizi. You're looking at the screen as if you can see something.
There was a little puff of smoke or sand coming out the back of that Lamborghini. Need to keep an eye on the right-hand side of that. Maybe tyre smoke locking up into turn number 14. We're coming up to the end of another hour of racing here. It's the Dunlop 24 Hours of Dubai, the 8th edition here at the Dunlop at the Dubai Autodrome, and what a 2 hours it's been.
This is its fueling pit stop. Whether they'll do a driver change as well, we'll wait and see. But this car was light on fuel because it didn't. Let's go back.
It is going to his pit box. And it looks like a tire and driver change. Door comes open.
Yeah.
Driver is out and new driver is in. Tire change is almost complete. So this will be a full service then. They'll probably fuel as well, Paul, you think, at this point?
Yes, this is one of the cars that, as the BMWs, can only put 95 litres in.
Okay.
So what happened at its previous stop, which was a little bit early, was they put the 95 litres in, but they are now beginning to run out of fuel again. And again, they'll only be able to put 95 litres in. So again, this is the kind of way that the free-for-all, or the free minimum reference lap time, being freed of that, pays against you, because you end up having to come into the pits more often.
Let's head down into the, well, before we do that, we've got a car facing the wrong direction in the infield. It's the 75 BMW. That's the white BMW with the Coca-Cola stripes on it, the sort of dark fizzy brown colour.
Just waiting for a gap in the traffic. I think Johnny's kept the engine running, and when there's a gap, he'll leap into it, I suspect.
There you go. Like about now. Oh, nicely done. Let's welcome to our broadcast in the Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane. Let's get in the know and say good afternoon to Bruce Jones. What a first 2 hours, mate. Let's just remind ourselves, we've still got 22 hours to go.
Well, they didn't appear to know that. Certainly the top 4 or 5 drivers, after half an hour, the first 3 were nose to tail, with 4th and 5th just not exactly very far behind. Hugely interesting race. It's the first time I've seen Code 60s. They certainly help you have a roll of the dice. Whether you end up with a 1 or 6 appears to be the lottery it is in real life. I've just had Fabien Giroir come in from the lead. I was at one end of the pits as he came in. There was a driver change. I didn't see who got in, but I expect there to be a plume of smoke or steam coming out of the garage, just simply from when Fabien's taken his helmet off. He certainly seemed quite animated when he was out on the track in the Code 60, anxious. He was losing lap time each lap. I can't see him at the moment. I think he's gone out to put his head in a bucket of water. But anyhow, but also here, just watching, this is the first time I've been to a 24-hour race where the drivers have to pop round the back to sort of a pretty much standard fueling station, and wait their turn in line while someone cleans their screen and, you know, offers them a bag of toffees. And it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying this 24-hour race, but I'd have been happy after the first hour because the racing was so good at the front. And to have 80-odd cars going around a 3.9-mile circuit, there is traffic everywhere. Watching some of the quick guys weaving their way up the main straight, going left and right round the back markers. Astonishing. Great racing.
And our second voice in the know, in the Continental Hotel Group pit lane, is Nick Damon. Nick, plenty of action down there with you as well in the pit lane, and interestingly, it seems as though people are cottoning on to the different strategies that can be played with fuel, driver only, fuel only, tyres only. I mean, it's almost endless down there.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at the sheep-like manner in which people just obeyed the Code 60 concept and didn't really think it through. Well, I say perhaps the teams that didn't think it through, and some of the more lucky stroker, thoughtful ones have made a massive gain out of it. We've had what we need, which is we've had an hour's cracking racing, followed by someone throwing a massive great dice, and it coming out 5, 3, 7 and 2 for different people, and 7 on 1 dice is really hard. And what's happened now is we've got probably going to have at least 4 to 6 hours for this all to kind of shuffle itself back through again. But, you know, cars that were looking like they were having a slightly sad day, like the number 2 Black Falcon, is suddenly way ahead of number 1. The 12 and 24 aren't in the order you'd expect, and the fantastic early promise of the 15 Aston Martin's been completely stamped on.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting, Nick, was only one team that I noticed came in for a very early refuelling stop, and that was Barwell Motorsport. Not long in experience on running 24-hour races, and they brought Tom Kimber-Smith from way down the field. He got that first refuelling stop. He had the petrol station to himself, and that certainly would have helped the team and given them far more options when it came to the 2 Code 60s.
No, I think what's happened is a few people have got themselves almost into a mindset where they've forgotten that they aren't in control of their fueling destiny. And they come in and they go, right, it's a yellow flag. No, it's a Code 60. No, it's a full course caution. Here we come. Whiz, driver out, tyres on, off we go. Oh, yeah, the petrol thing. Oh,
yeah, I think you're right, Nick.
Did we ever establish, I mean, now we've got 2 of you down there, we need to establish whether or not the number 1 Black Falcon Mercedes did actually jump out of the queue, because otherwise I don't understand quite how they got so much fuel.
And the 24.
It's a short field.
Did they jump out of the queue?
They had a short top-up.
No. The first time they came in on that first Code 60, they went into the queue, they went missing for 4 minutes. They came out and then they went straight back in again at the next code 60. So we need to find out, Nick, if and then the 24 was the same. They came back in within 25 minutes and went back into the fuel queue, which tends to suggest that either, well, we don't think they would have got to the fuel pump and not put a lot in. We think they may have jumped out of they were sitting too long in the fuel queue because it was very, very long.
I do that sometimes at Tesco when I get it, but I can't be bothered to queue the whole time. I go, oh, God, no, I'll get it tomorrow.
Other supermarket fuels are available and normally much cheaper as well.
Oh, that's a bit unfair. How can you say that? Lots of lovely cheap.
I was just going to say, I wondered if he had a deal.
Let me see if I can word with Jörg Muller, who's of course part of the 24 team.
Good man.
Jörg, quick question. Your car came in for an extra stop to pick up fuel. Was it because you, in the panic at the first coast, you hadn't filled up, or what were you doing? You topping up? What was going on?
Well, it didn't make up the bad thing we had at the first stop. You know, we came to the filling station, everything was blocked, so we had to wait for another 1.5 minutes. Then we did our fuel stop on the green again, so everyone was running, so we lost something like 1.5, nearly 2 laps. And we just did that refueling now to do a little bit of a longer stint. There's always easier, or always you lose less if you pit under code 60, so that's what we did. Let's see what happens if the others have to come to fuel.
So the basic idea was, let's top it right up and have a really long run.
That's what we did. That's why we lost another 30 seconds to the Mercedes, but yeah, we're going to push and get them back.
Lucky thing is, Jörg, there's only 22 hours to go, so it's a bit of a job.
You know, the race is so long, and just wait what happens. It will come to the others as well that they have bad luck, and we're going to push hard.
Thanks, Jörg.
We should point out that with the pit stop by the number 9, we do have another leader, Dirk Adorf.
Dirk Adorf, yes, has gone through in the number 12 Saudi Falcons team. So now both of the Saudi Falcons BMW Z4s have led the race, and we are just over 2 hours into it.
The other leaders being the Fabian Giroir Lamborghini, the Gulf Racing Middle East car, the number 20 Stadler Motorsport Porsche, the number 1, the Jeroen Bleekemolen and Sean Edwards thus far driven Black Falcon Mercedes, and the number 26 Nicky Team Porsche, which the Atepto car, which led early on, and which we haven't seen anything more of, but that's not to say we don't expect to see it at some point later on, because certainly when Nick spoke to Nicky, he gave us the impression that he was going to be coming back, although it might be a couple of hours. Well, we've had that couple of hours.
Yeah, we should say that car spontaneously combusted out on the back of the circuit with a fuel fire.
I was going to say, I think it was rather than spontaneous, a fuel link had come adrift, which is what caused the thing in the first place. So
don't forget, sorry Paul, if you want to get in touch with us, it's at Specutainment or at Radio Le Mans, or go to radiolemans.com and get on the forum there. But this is something that I haven't seen here. I know, we're not old hands here, but look at how many people are on the back fence here, Jim, who have gone up the boardwalk from the back of the paddock. Eve was saying there was about 96 children on the bouncy castle all at one time, which I'm not sure health and safety would have improved of, because it is quite a small bouncy castle. It's more like a bouncy cushion.
I don't think they have health and safety.
Okay, and there was definitely a crowd in the grandstand at the start of the race.
But I'd like to point out the strategic position of the gelato stand next to the bouncy castle.
Yes,
it was somebody's thinking.
Yeah, only after the bouncing, please. Otherwise, someone has to clean it.
It's a very messy bouncy castle.
Nick Damon is down at pit in at the moment, and all is quiet at the moment.
It is. It's been one of those really interesting sort of endurance races where you get that total panic caused by some sort of full course yellow code 60, and everyone's got away and had a bit 2 hours. Now I think there's a lot of thinking going on. There's a lot of staring at time and going, either go, blimey, look where we are, or blimey, look where we are. And, and the ones who are doing well are going, how can we keep doing this well? The ones who do badly go, right, we've got 22 hours to sort this cock up.
Yes.
Matt Griffin. Sorry, John. Matt Griffin in the number 88 car picks up a position up to 10th place, getting by the number 14 Am Pro car.
And that puts him into third. Oh no, he was already in third. Yeah. Remember, they decided to hit that 205 bogey time, if you will, target time. A 2:06.7 from Matt last time around. Into the pit lane is the 89 Audi TT.
Wolfgang Kaufmann at the wheel at the moment.
The Besoplast car in
John,
SP2.
Which doesn't lead SP2, although he has improved from 5th to 4th. The leading SP2 car at the moment is still the number 98 to keep fair sure Renault Megane car, which has currently got Luke Rice,
Luke Brahms.
Where are we? Yes, that's right. Luke Brahms behind the wheel. Thank you, Jim. And the top SP2 car currently in 22nd place overall.
You were speculating, Paul, or at least you were wondering what was going on with one of the early leaders, that being the Nicky team,
a
Subtour Racing Porsche, and Bruce has found his way down into their garage. It was medium rare earlier on, Bruce. How is it now?
Medium rare, and in fact now they've cooked it, they don't even fancy eating it, they're just leaving it at the back of the garage, and long faces, burnt tail is the answer to that one. Quite a lot of charring under the lid at the back, so I'm afraid the sun is still in the sky, and their options have extended, but they don't include any more racing. So that was a shame, because Nicky team really used the power of that 997 at the start to great effect. And we heard Jeroen Blekemolen explaining why he didn't want to go too hard in the, let's say, very little run Mercedes number 1. Obviously that's a car we've talked about a lot with all the problems they had, but Nicky Tim grabbed his chance, but after a handful of laps he started going backwards, and obviously then it caught fire, and a shame. He showed well while he could, but for Attempto Racing, one of their 2 cars, their faster one, is done and dusted.
Oops. The lead is down to 28.5 seconds as Marco Seyfried in the number 20 Stadler Motorsport Porsche. This is the leading AM car. 2:05.5 the last time around. Remember, 2:05 flat is the time that he's aiming for, so that's another good time. Dirk Eerdorf 2:07.2, and that is a car that can go as quick as it wants. So this decision to run the 2:05s and maybe roll the dice on some of the Code 60s, Jim, for the moment at least, is paying off. Now the problem comes, of course, if Dirk Eerdorf gets some clear road and can knock in 2 or 3 or 4 203s, there's nothing that Marco can do to respond to that.
They're going to have to do it with strategy, better pit work, and
fewer pit stops.
And fewer pit stops, and that's how they're going to have to get it done. That's one of the reasons why. When I was talking about Matt Griffin getting up to 10th overall, yes, he's 3rd in class, but those guys are, even the AM guys, many of them are still shooting to try and get the overall, if not on the podium, then the overall win.
Thank you very much indeed for all of your comments on the collective at the forum at radiolemans.com, and also for your tweets at @Specutainment. I am giggling at 1 or 2 of them, thank you. Hello to Kevin Ernst at Kev1217. Any investigations or penalties for the C60 shenanigans? No, is the answer to that, and nothing on the official feed either, Paul.
Had yet, no.
So I presume they were given the nod.
They may have communicated before they let him go by.
I'm beginning to wonder if that was not indeed the case, Jim, to be honest, because that's a big chance to take when you're leading the motor race. That was the number 9 car, which has now got Khaled Al Mudhaf in it.
It's interesting that you say that they've got the Khaled Al Mudhaf behind the wheel at the moment, because I've got 2 messages on the screen, one at 1600 saying that the driver has been handed over to Frederick Fatien, and then one at 1602 saying that Stefan Johansson took over behind the wheel. So whether it's Stefan Johansson or Frederick Fatien, or as it says on the screen, Khaled Al Mudhaf, I'm not sure, but maybe that's one that Bruce can just do a quick research. Who's at the wheel of the number 9 Gulf Racing Middle East Lamborghini?
You might want to ask also who's behind the wheel of the 12, because it's listed as Dirk Eerdorf, but the Saudi Falcons are tweeting that it may well be Faisal Bin Laden who is behind the wheel of that car. So perhaps the transponder's not being used in the correct manner by the teams.
Yes, just to relieve responsibility of the timekeepers of anything.
No. It's an input required from driver or team. Yes.
What they have is a little dial on the transponder, which has to be set to position 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and the driver is required to set it to the right place. And the sensor is at pit exit. So if you get halfway around the lap and you suddenly think, oh, forgot to set the pit transponder, my driver transponder to the right setting, I'll set it now. That doesn't solve the problem because it only works on pit exit. It doesn't work on the start-finish line. What you have to do, and there's a line in the regulations for this, if you notice that you're wrong, is that you have to go up to the race control and say, we've done it wrong, can you please change it on the screen?
Right.
So hopefully it will change, but I suspect that a lot of the teams will have greater priorities than having the driver transponder right.
It's been there for an hour and 12 minutes.
Okay, so let's find out from one of our Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane reporters, Bruce Jones, can give us some update on the drivers of which cars.
Well, I've just been in to check with Gulf Racing Middle East, and the driver who took over their Lamborghini that was leading in the hands of Fabian Giroir is indeed Khaled Al Mulhaf, the driver from Kuwait. A driver who follows Nose Nick from the radio-controlled car racing world we discovered last night.
He came up to me in the hey, Nick, how are you? And I'm going, I'm fine, thank you very much. I watch you all the time. In which case I went, yeah, I'm not a major star on CSI. You must be an RC Racing fan.
Well, you're a BMW, Nick, so who do we reckon is in the 12 and the 24?
Well, of all the drivers who are hanging around, I must be honest, I don't know Dirk Adolf by sight. So, but there's no son of Faisal, and he's always here normally. So my guess it probably is Faisal.
Really? That's interesting. But I mean, which car is he in then?
Whichever car, I don't know.
The stint on one car is 45 minutes, and the stint in the other is 1 hour and 13.
And Faisal's listed in the 24.
Yeah, he's listening. Go on, Nick, go in and ask. Just tap someone on the shoulder.
That's all right. So which car do we not know? The 12?
Yeah. Either or, but I think the 12 certainly. Nick's wandered into the
I think the Al Faisal car is he, because it was the 24 car which was started by Claudio.
It is Dirk.
Okay.
Right.
So it's Dirk and...
Not saying a thing, by the way.
Was that the noise of you breaking something?
Yeah, but it's only a pressure point. It's nothing mechanical. It's just a bit of a solid bit of metal in October. It's not like the time I gave a man first degree burns in the Jordan pit in 1997. He wasn't very happy about that. I stepped backwards, lost my balance, leant on this mechanic. The mechanic's bare leg went onto the brake disc, which of a car that came off the track, less than a minute before. 800 degrees. Excellent.
Number 10, I heard you saying there, Bruce.
Second of the car 10 brought out the second of the triggered the second of the Code 60s, and the right rear corner collapsed. So I think it was Mr. Trustwell who got that one right, that either they'd had a clash or something had broken. Indeed, it had broken. It's being fixed now. As many mechanics as they can throw at the car as possible are working away on it at the back of the garage. And then Rodan Unesi, the American driver, will take over when the work is done. But I have a feeling they could probably have a quick meal before then, rather sadly, because that was going very well early on. It was running about the tail of the top 10 and having a good little dice. And then, sadly, obviously, for the driver of the time, which was Andreas Suber, he didn't quite get around turn number 12 at the top of the hill.
It has been an issue with McLaren's, hasn't it? They have had suspension breakage problems before. And obviously, I'm not suggesting that is definitely what's happened there, because...
looked like there was some contact. There was rubber on the wheel well.
Well, I think that might have been actually, if it collapsed, he went round and then he hit the barriers, because it looked like, a tyre rub. There was a lot of black on the sort of creamy white flank of the car. Andreas Suber is not in the garage to ask, but I spoke to someone and they said it collapsed. So who knows, eh?
Oh dear. Work to be done there. Already, with the time at just 4:20 local here in Dubai, the shadows are beginning to lengthen. Sunset is just around 6 o'clock local this time, which is this evening, which is GMT +4. If you are just joining us, a very, very warm welcome along to our powered by Nissan coverage of the Dunlop Dubai 24 hours. It's Jim Roller, Paul Trustwell and John Hindhaugh in the booth, and in the Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane we have Nick Damon and Bruce Jones. Rather predictably, as soon as TV broadcast TV have gone off the air, we've settled into a rather pleasant rhythm. It's almost as if we had a script to have all the excitement in the first 2 hours when we were on live TV. So well done to whoever. That'll be Gary. He'll have written that. Running order. Oh, car on fire.
He went to the production meeting.
Yeah, let's. What would you always have? We'll have a car on fire. Somebody suspension. Code 60 that catches out the leaders. Oh yeah, we'll have all of those.
Those three. We'll get these three races. That's good. Yeah.
There is still streaming video, of course, on www.24h2buy.com, and audio coverage continues for the whole race on radiolemans.com.
What it does mean, though, John, is that we are getting the opportunity for a bit of a pattern to form in the race, and for us to kind of work out what's going on. Now, the thing that is interesting, and whether this has anything to do with live television coverage or not, I don't know, but the average lap times have gone right up. We're getting, even though the pro cars can run as fast as they like, I haven't seen a lap in the 2-minute 03s for a good few minutes. So I just wonder what maybe have changed. The temperature has certainly got up. It's become a little bit sunnier as the afternoon wears on. It's 4:20 in the afternoon here in Dubai. If you're in a different time zone, we've got mid-afternoon getting into late afternoon, 4:20, but it's now sunny, whereas it was very much chillier time this morning, and the wind direction has changed completely. But as I say, the significant thing is that the pro cars are not really being able to lap anything like as quickly as they were in the early stages of the race. It's just an observation more than anything else. One of the faster cars on the circuit at the moment on that last lap was Philip Jones at the wheel of the 25 Jones family Mercedes, who did a 2:05 and a 2:04.6 from Tim Mullen in the number 17 McLaren. But apart from that, we're not seeing at the moment, Jim, the 2:03s or the 2:02s that we saw in the very early stages, and that's not because the drivers of the pro cars are choosing to run to a pattern. It's because that's the way it is.
And that's as fast as they can go, given all the traffic and the slippery nature of the racetrack and that sort of stuff. They're still going flat out. Interesting that Sean Edwards has been able to climb all the way back to 7th overall, and that puts him 6th in class in the pro category. That's a good fight back from being down.
Paul was talking just at the end there about finding a pattern. I found a pattern. I've just reported about car number 10 having its right rear corner replaced, and I've got another car with a right rear corner being replaced. How about that? That's BMW 75. That's down in Class A4. It's the Dutch racing car of Z3 M Coupe. Martin van den Berg unfortunately spun it, went in backwards, and they're replacing the right rear suspension, and that will then go back out into the race. As I spot another car heading up the hill after refueling. I guess we're going to have a bunch of cars coming in fairly soon, because I think a lot of the drivers of teams have worked out maybe if you drop one in early on out of sequence, that could be a big help.
Another car, whilst you're on, Bruce, that's had problems, or is having problems, I think, in the pits. We saw it come in on the back of the tow rope. Is the 152 BMW 120 diesel, Paul Oise's team car.
Well, I tell you what, Paul, when I was still up on the balcony just below your commentary position, it came. I only saw it come round one lap. There was a big puff of smoke out the back. I thought, oh, blessed diesels. It was under acceleration, and he never came round again. I wanted to check it the following lap. So
he is in the pits at the moment, and he's been there almost as long as Nicky Team's car has.
And we've got a car stopped just past turn 2.
And facing the wrong direction.
Driver's right.
We saw the flatbed. If you were watching the live stream, you'll have seen the flatbed come out of the pits.
I thought it might have been just repositioning after bringing the 10 back.
I'm very sorry to say that
he's parked right in front of the car.
No, that might be one of the Nissans. Can you check the Nissans are still going round on the scoring?
Well, 127 is currently on the screen, so yeah, we know he's still going around. And
No, it's all right. That is
47. Yeah, 147 was Sabine Schmidt. Has just picked up a position, and she's in sector 2, so she's still going around.
Red and black car. I'll get out the Andy Blackmore spotters guide. I don't think I thought it was 90 something.
Apparently.
Let's have another look. Jim's got better eyes than me now. So I can't even tell what car it is, Jim, because it's so black against the black background. I thought it was a BMW or a two-door BMW or something similar. So, what do you reckon?
I believe it's that Mini. I believe it's that black Mini.
101?
Yeah.
With the red roof?
I think so. It might be. I'm not 100% sure, so let's not scare anybody, but...
Meanwhile, there's signs of preparation for a pit stop in the Schubert team area, and my guess would be is that that's Dirk Adolf who's due. He's just gone round for another lap, but he stayed out for the second code 60. So I suspect that it's going to be Dirk Adolf, the leading car, which will be the one that is due in next time around.
And he's an hour and 22 minutes into this stint, so that makes a lot of sense.
Down to Bruce in the pit lane.
Just been deep in the back of one of the garages. Colroy's a racing second car, which is the diesel class 120D BMW, car number 152. We just talked about it a few minutes ago. I scurried in, asked the drivers and the mechanics who were sort of bending over the engine bay, and they said they will be able to fix it once they've worked out what the problem might be. So lots of good intention, but rather too much head scratching for now, so not looking good at all for one of the diesel class. And really the diesel class cars are the ones you expect to go round and round and round, but not this one for the moment. But yes. Core is not a quitter. We know that.
Oh yes, I think we could have written that in stone. I'm leaning towards the Lotus on track, Lotus Elise Sport number 99 as the car that has stopped.
And I agree with you.
On the exit of this,
after what I saw, I think you're spot on.
It's being pulled out of harm's way, and it's not going to be.
We got at turn 14. We've got two Porsches around.
Yeah, and that is the number 40 car facing the wrong direction. So that is.
And also the number 42 car was involved there as well.
And Lee Newton from Porsche Middle East gives me the hand signal that says there was a bit of contact there, which seems to have been right front to left rear by how he was doing that. As round comes,
there he is, the 42 car.
The 42.
His headlight is missing.
Yeah, headlamp missing. Lee gets to sell some spare parts. Didn't hear that.
Yeah, there's
the 42 car
coming into the pits.
And another problem down into the pit lane. Here's Bruce.
I don't know what happened since Nick has largely, sort of finished his first stint. He's left a trail of destruction up the pit lane. Lotus number 65, the little yellow one, yellow Elise. Unfortunately, the alternator bracket has twisted, has spun round, and they're trying to fix it. It's a pain rather than anything that's going to bring them to a permanent halt, but it's not what you want in the first hour and a half, 2 hours of a race. So it's car 65.
I don't know what was funnier, the fact that what Bruce said, or the fact that Nick is still in the pit lane.
That's always funny. I'm waiting for this number 12 Saudi Falcon stop, which appears to be going, but he's 2 or 3 laps now. Poor old Fire's been sitting around giving thumbs up to local photographers, going, I'm gonna get in, and round goes Dirk for another lap, and round he goes again. It's gonna be, come on, it's my turn. I want to drive my car.
Yeah, he's only done an hour and 25, according to the stint clicker.
They got tyres out and everything, so they are expecting him, but they obviously decided whether they're trying to be clever with traffic or they've been worried by these recent accidents. It's going to be code 6, I don't know.
That could have been that they were preparing just in case. How many laps has he done, Paul? Do you know, since his last...
Who is that, sorry?
The number 12 car.
Dirk Adolf.
12 came in on lap 28, so you have to subtract 60 from 28, which is 42.
So he's definitely... Well, there was quite a bit of caution in there. There was...
32, beg your pardon.
Yeah.
32.
Okay.
32. So he can do, I would think, 38. So within the next 5-6 laps.
Well, but he also had some caution in there as well.
There was a period of caution in there, that's very true, yes. Yeah, so that will be interesting. He may well say if he's in a... Although he's not going very fast, is he? That's the thing. I mean, these conditions... Another question for one of our pit reporters possibly is, has the temperature really begun to rise? Because the times seem to have been going down.
Well, I think the track will be rubbering in. And
it's 23 degrees. I don't know what it was at the start, but this will be the last fling, and we've got another hour of sunshine, and then it'll be down. So
the key word there is sunshine, Bruce, because this is the first time we've had sunshine on the track in the last sort of 15-20 minutes since the start of the race. It was very overcast.
Oh, it was battleship grey at the start of the race. About half an hour in, I started to be able to see the sort of the tower blocks and, you know, the metropolis in the background. Before, you just couldn't make it out. It was so dull. Now it's absolutely glorious, but we know 4:30 now, 5:30 the sun she go down.
Yeah,
but you see, the thing is, I would expect that to mean that because the tarmac is rubbering in and being cleaned up, I would have thought that if anything, the times would be coming down, but they're not. They're going up. You know, we're getting, nobody's going underneath 2 minutes 5, so you know, it's looking good for the AMs.
Very impressed with the Stadler Motorsports 20 car. Whether it was deliberate or whether they just decided they were going to stick to the plan when they stayed out on that first code 60. Ultimately, they took the lead, the 20 car. But Marco Seyfried has now taken over, and another 2:05.5. And around him, people, I mean, he's the quickest of the top 4 cars at the moment. The fastest car in the top 10 at the moment is the
McLaren.
The McLaren of Tim Mullen.
Yeah.
And he's only done a 2:04.5.
And this is not like a one-off. This has been happening for some time. So
it was the 99 Lotus, by the way.
That's the Lotus coming in on the back of a flatbed. The flatbed driver getting his lap of the circuit. Do you want some information on Jokers? Because Sanna's come up with the goods. She's a good girl. She's doing excellent. Rob Barth has used 4 Jokers.
Wow. This is the 88 car we're talking about. Write this down, dear listener.
Which he used in the first 36 laps. He's now, it's Matt Griffin who's behind the wheel now. When did that car actually change driver? This is the number 8.
We've had 2 pit stops in that car, one for a driver and one for just fuel.
Yeah, I haven't got when the change happened, but
43 minutes ago he was last in.
Right, it's. I'm fairly sure then that it was a lap that was done by Rob Barth then. So all 4 of those Jokers were used by Rob Barth. One on his second lap, one on his third lap, and then on his 32nd and 36th laps. Nobody else has used more than 1 Joker, and the only drivers who have used up Jokers thus far, one for the number 7 FAT Porsche, and one for the number 11 Ferrari. That's one of the AF Corsa Ferraris.
They also had a stop and go penalty.
That one. They
stop and hold for 20 seconds.
Penalty. And also number 20, the Marco Seyfried car, who's currently in 2nd place, the Stadler Motorsport car, which at the time had Rob Ineiken at the wheel, didn't it? Rolf Ineiken then was caught for 1 Joker, but that was earlier in the race. So far, use of Jokers has been very minimal.
It's 87.6 around the Autodrome and Motor City, around the world at radiolemans.com, and of course on www.24hdubai.com with streaming video as well. Just on board with the Nissan there for a moment or two. Let's go down to get back in the know with the Intercontinental Hotel Group pit lane. Little roundup of what's been going on. First, Bruce Jones.
Well, just as we were talking about the times not really improving, I looked a little further down the timesheets. I noticed Raffaele Giammaria was going well, but fastest car on the track in the 2:03s is Tomonobu Fuji in the Aston Martin, the Craft Racing one, number 15, that went so well and was dicing for the lead with Darren Turner on board. So he's got his head down. He's chasing after the 88 Ferrari, that's the Dragon Racing one, and really going well. So let's watch out for him. Nick?
Well, up at this end, it's still the world's longest wait for a pit stop for the number 12 car. I think they may have got their time zones wrong. It's taken so long for them to be here. They've been sitting on the apron. They've obviously decided to be extra early prepared after they were caught up by the Code 60s earlier. Coming towards me, actually, just we come in now, is one of the frontline cars. It's the number 2 Black Falcons, the yellow car with the white base. Comes in from 3rd. That's going to be a full service. I can see there's tyres and there's a driver and then obviously fuel as well. Just trolling past me a little while ago on the flatbed was that 99 Lotus, and when he, on the I suppose you call it on the right-hand side, so I'm not sure which is the passenger or driver. It was very, very badly crunched, rear suspension and the back of it. So he's gone in sideways and back hard, and my bet is that that's the end of the Dubai 24 Hours for the number 99. And the Black Falcons, they're just about to drive away and go get some petrol down Tesco's, or other petrol stations are available.
Whilst you're there, Nick, I suspect you'll be getting one of the Ferraris in fairly shortly as well, the AF Corsa team cars.
Number 16 is waiting to come out.
Lorenzo Carzay, sorry, it's Carvalho, who is in the car at the moment. And that car, because as I say, the car's coming up now to running for about an hour and a half since the original, the first Code 60 section that we had.
Right, let's get back to the guys and find out who took over which car, the number 2 car.
Number 2 car came in from 3rd place. I had to leg it down the pit lane and just saw the helmet of Sergei Afanasiev getting in. He's the Russian driver, taking over car number 2. So that car's going well, as we said, came in from 3rd place. Didn't have the ultimate pace early on. We didn't expect it to, but as long as it runs hard and fast, it should be there or thereabouts later on. All you need, as we know, is just another Code 60 if you're in the right location, and you can gain a lap.
And ready to get in number 16, Nick?
It's a Marco Giocci.
Marco Seefried has got down to 22 seconds on the leader, and he's doing it by just banging in the 2:05.5, 2:05.5, 2:05.6. Now, he lost a little bit of time that time, but this is very good indeed. Hello to John Smith, one of the great clerks of the course in the UK, part of the 360 Motor Club as well, of course. He says, I've changed my mind about the Code 60 flag system. It works really well. And he says, OK, Heidi, you were right and I was wrong. Little smiley face. There's no right or wrong, John. It's just my opinion and everyone else's. You know that. John, good to hear that you're listening. I hope you're feeling fit and well. And a happy new year to you, Claire, and the rest of the 360 Motor Club members, who we hope to see at Snetterton. We will see if we're talking about at Snetterton later in the year for another 6-hour race around there, one of my favourite events. And thanks for getting in touch. At Specutainment and at Radio Le Mans on Twitter and on the RadioLeMans.com website, by the way.
I give a shout out to the number 148 car. Vic Rice behind the wheel, now leading SP3, has taken over from the Nissans. That's the Koi Ursa Racing Lotus Evora. Vic Rice, Shane Lewis, Henrik Thiessen, and Trevor Knight. Vic Rice has been behind the wheel for the last hour.
The Nissans have dropped out of contention a little bit there. They've the
fourth, and
it's now Lee Mole in 2nd place in that category in the
number 143.
Yeah, and that's
a Ginetta.
It's a Ginetta G50. In 3rd place in SP3, and this gives us an opportunity to go through some of the classes actually, is the 145 Aston Martin V8 Vantage, the Jan Anderson ended car. That's the Kimber Smiths in there, but Paul White driving at the moment. The best of the Nissans, Roman Rusinov now, one of the mentors from GT Academy Russia, behind the wheel of the 127. He's in 4th position, and the 147 has dropped away down to 9th position in class, with having
51st position
in that car at the moment. And their target time is that target time of 14, Paul, in SP3.
Sorry, which car are we talking about?
SP3, the Nissans.
147, 127, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong piece of paper. Oh, I hate it when this happens. What happens when you have too many pieces of paper? But if I get the right piece of paper, there is for SP3 2 minutes 12 seconds.
Yeah.
Yes, what we don't
12 did you say?
Yeah.
Right. 2 minutes 12. What we don't know in SP2 is what the minimum weight. Or what the weight is rather than the minimum weight, but what the weight is of the Nissan, because that dictates how much fuel it can take on board. But I can use that piece of paper to tell you that the Nissan...
It is written on the side of the cars somewhere. If you get a close-up of any of the cars, they've got the the numbers for fuel on the side of the cars.
That's so the marshals can check when they're being refueled, that nobody's trying to pull a fast one, because the refueling, of course, is done by members of the team. It's 100 litres that they're allowed to add at each pit stop for the two Nissans, which puts them at
it's brilliantly simple, that, isn't it? When you've got all these different things for different cars. So how do you keep a monitor on it? You put a sticker on the side of the car with a number on it that corresponds to how many litres you can stick in it. You know, let's not try and overthink this, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, these guys are getting it so right.
A couple other... Go ahead.
Sorry, the race leader, Dirk Adolf, in the pits, but also taking a stop and go.
A stop and hold at this point.
Yeah, sorry, not a stop and go, a stop and hold. Now, this is within the regulations. If you are brought in for a stop and hold, you can then make your pit stop after it. So Dirk Adolf bringing the BMW into the stop and hold. And I wonder if he did something wrong during the Code 60, for which he is now being penalised. But he is being held, and that has he's already been stationary for 30 seconds, and the marshal still standing in front of the car, holding it in the penalty spot.
Deja vu all over again for this car.
And it'll be longer this time.
Last year it was Jörg Mueller, remember? He sat there forever.
It's going to be a minute that he's going to have been held there. There he goes. It was a minute stop and hold then for number 12. But he is allowed to go to his pit. That's unlike other forms of racing where on your penalty you're not allowed to go to the pit afterwards.
Maybe Nick Damon can get us in the know as to what that penalty was about. He's been standing by waiting for that pit stop, but no, he's
left, of course.
He has left.
Just as the car came in. But we've got the binos on, so it'll be a full service in terms of new tyres on the 12 car.
And driver change.
And we know that Faisal bin Laden was waiting to get in that car as Dirk Adolf is out. And that is actually a very, very quick pit stop to change the driver. I mean, we've seen 45 seconds to a minute as out on the circuit, the Ram Racing Ferrari having a cracking battle there, or at least coming through the field. Guy Smith in his first run in a contemporary GT3 car. So go down to the pit lane where Bruce Jones. Bruce, you need to find some happy news.
I know. I'm just getting that out of the way to start with. It came as no surprise to find the GC Automotive car 111 in all sorts of troubles. I think they're doing a gearbox change. Much more of a surprise was the Audi TT car 89. They've got a fuel pressure problem. It goes for 1 lap fine, 2 lap not so good, then it works again, and then it doesn't, so they're just scratching their heads and digging under the tail of the car. And I think Wolfgang Kaufmann is relatively excited that they'll get it going again, but it's just really boring early on in a race, isn't it, when all the conditions are fine. Anyhow, that's how it is for now, for car 89.
Yeah, that's a good point. What you want to do is to get into that rhythm that we were talking about. And a lot of shouting behind Bruce for a moment there. What's going on there, I wonder?
I'm guessing it's an AF Corsa pit stop, only because it sounded Italian. But so now into the lead has gone Marco Seyfried.
Back into the lead for that car.
In the number 20. That's right. That's the first car that's led the race twice.
And Sean Edwards, after the second pit stop for that car, has climbed back up all the way to 5th.
That was an hour and 12 minutes ago. Yeah, he will be due in about. Well, I would have thought. Actually, I know, of course, they'll have topped it right back off again, so he can probably do about an hour and 20, maybe even a little bit more in that car. A 150. Sorry, the gap is 157.8. He's doing 205.9. 202.5. By Abdullah Aziz Al Faisal is a very quick lap in the top 10 in the number 24 Saudi Falklands BMW Z4, as Sean Edwards now goes back up into 4th position with those cars at the fuel stop. And we've got the top 3 separated by half a minute, the top 4 by a minute and a half at the moment, which with similar pit stop strategies for the the top 4. Marco Seyfried's been in the number 20 Porsche leading the 24 hours. He's been in there for just over an hour and 8 minutes. Tim Mullen's been in the McLaren in second place. He's only 24.5 seconds back for just on the hour mark, just over the hour mark, as has Takeuchi Aoki in the number 19 J-Lock Lamborghini. Porsche, McLaren, Lamborghini and Mercedes-Benz. And Sean Edwards, who's been in an hour and a quarter, as has Abdulaziz Al-Faisal in the BMW. And then Matt Griffin goes up into 6th, making it 6 different cars in the top 6, and then 7 in the top 7. Thank you, Jim, because we've got an Aston Martin in 7th position. 7 different marks, premium marks, in the top 7 after well over 2.5 hours, separated by something in the region of about 3 minutes.
And interestingly, John, those 7 cars, 5 pros and 2 AMs, which is roughly right. Really good. Yeah, that's about right. I'm certainly glad that there are a couple of AMs in there, and you know, it shows how well this has been thought out. It'll just be interesting. We're really going to have to wait at least another couple of hours, I think, without any Code 60s, to really get a feeling for the shape of this race, because it's going to be that period of time over which the race has to run in order for the smaller fuel tanks, or not the smaller fuel tanks, but the smaller refueling amount of the pro cars to start having its effect.
Just going through 1 or 2 of the penalties, and I don't know if we mentioned this, and I apologise if we did, but the Kraft Aston Martin Racing got a 22-second penalty for speeding under Code 60. The number 9 Fabien Giroir car, no penalty for the overtaking, so I can only presume that they cleared their overtaking of the slower cars with race control before they did it, because there was no doubt they overtook at least 3 cars.
We'll have to find out what the penalty for the number 12 car was for a whole minute.
Yeah.
Because it had to be probably a first offence.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that weren't certainly brought in. The Alex Hall has tweeted at Specutainment at CQR_neon, so I'm guessing then he's a amateur radio fan. Hello, Alex. It will be great to see Guy Smith in the GT3 Bentley. Just wait. I've got a strong suspicion that will happen. Guy's been involved in that programme for quite some time, since before it was announced, in fact. And be interesting to see how Malcolm Wilson Motorsport get on with that car. They are the former Ford World Rally Champion team, and they've been selected by Bentley Motors to be one of the teams that run that car. Although the show car was turned around in double quick time by RML, the Wellingborough Wizards, possibly leaving RML clear to do a GT version of the new F-Type Jaguar. Perhaps suggest. Don't know.
Interesting, Paul, that in this most recent stint, that's about an hour and 16 minutes for the number 1, the 24 car. They have climbed from mired in the 20s, all the way back up to 4th and 5th, somewhat restoring order to the top of the field. It remains to be seen if they can climb all the way back, or how long it will take them to climb all the way back.
Also, that they've stayed about that half minute apart.
Yes.
So, despite the ups and downs in the lap times, they haven't been that much different, to be honest, Paul.
No, that's right, but they have got back a lap that they lost. They're not. They're more than a lap behind. I mean, it's a lap and a bit still that they are behind. But they're certainly going well. But of course, they're going to be the next ones that have to make their stops.
This from Jeff Birmingham, who's at Porsche 91722. He says, do you guys get a pit stop or a change of commentary team? Who's doing the night shift? That would be us there.
Where's Neville?
He's at the chicane, obviously.
He's still trying to find out what's wrong with Frank Wheeler.
Absolutely. Jeff, it is a rather, I was going to say it was a slimmed down team, but only that is only true for Paul Trustwell. Oh no, in fairness, Jim Roller is far slimmer. Yes. we don't have quite the same size of team for when we do something like the Le Mans 24 hours, when there's getting on towards 20 of us out there to run the broadcasts. So actually only 5 on air this weekend. That would be Nick and Bruce down in the pits, and although you'll hear them together sometimes, most times they'll be overlapping for only a short time, and then it's up in the booth, it's myself, Jim and Paul who will split the duties between us. We'll try and have all of us in here for as long as possible until one of us keels over and starts snoring at the mic. And trust me, that has happened before.
I thought it was a saxophone in the background.
First year of the Nürburgring.
First year of the Nürburgring, they decided to go all the way through. I had to be coaxed gently away from the mic by the responsible adult as I fell asleep with my finger on the kill switch, in fairness. So you'll hear at some stages either just Paul and Mark, myself, or Jim and Paul. Paul always tells us he never sets out to do the whole 24 hours, but it just kind of happens that way, or it doesn't.
Well, last year you went away and watched for a while.
Well, I went away to eat.
Clear your head, yeah.
I went away to eat, and I took my notebook with me, and that gave me enough to then put back into the system when I got back and was able to kind of pick it all up again. So we kind of kept track. But my problem with these early stages is there's just so much going on, and there's so many cars from which the winner could come that you're not quite sure what's significant now that you don't really recognise as being significant. So you have to note everything down. Halfway through the race, you can start excluding cars that are going to have an impact in the race later on.
Bruce down in the pit lane.
Yeah, just a quick one to say the number 9 car that Fabien Girouard had in the lead of the race has come straight through the pits in for fuel, just touching on trying to